Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. Inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Edition of the Kulturecast. I am your host, Chris Stachiw, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Michael Swan.
Yo.
And John Lein.
Hola.
So I just have one question for you guys.
Would you like to play a game?
Oh, wow. That was actually kind of good.
Thank you. We decided, since Netflix has all 4 of the 7 Saw movies recently, that we'd sit down, watch all of them, and possibly talk to some of the people that were involved in the film. So before we get into it, let's talk about kind of our experience with Saw before we sat down and watched all of them. Swan, what was your kind of experience with these movies before we sat down and watched all of them?
Until we decided to sit down and watch all 7, I'd actually only seen the first 4, and that was really about it. I enjoyed the first 4 a lot, actually. I thought that the story premise was really intriguing, and it was probably one of the better psycho thrillers to come out, or like mystery psycho thrillers to come out in the mid 2000s. So I guess I got disenchanted with it as it kept going on. I was just like, why are there 6-7 movies? And I just quit caring. But going back and, well, I guess we can do reflection on after watching them when we get there. But yeah, so that's my experience with them.
What about you, John?
I had only seen the first one, and I didn't even watch that one until all 7 of them had come out. Generally, in my experience, any film franchise that gets more than 3 movies turns to shit real fast. So I just sort of had this idea that this franchise was not going to be entertaining all the way through. I sort of assumed that 1 and 2 might be good, and then 3 was going to be dumb, and then all the rest of them were going to be shit. So I never really took the time to watch them, and then we suggested this podcast, so I marathoned all 7 of them in 2 days.
And there you have it.
Yeah.
I had only seen the first film. I wasn't really into horror movies for the longest time, and this is one of the first couple horror movies that kind of got me into horror movies, the first Saw film. And this podcast was kind of my brainchild based off of the fact that this is the most profitable horror franchise in the history of horror, on top of everything else. Let's just get right into it. So Saw 1, came out in 2004, directed by James Wan, featured Cary Elwes, Danny Glover, Monica Potter, Michael Emerson, and Tobin Bell. And it features Carrie Elwes and Leigh Whannell, who also wrote the film, locked in a bathroom for an entire film. Locked in like not a bathroom, I guess kind of a bathroom. A big bathroom.
Locked in the bathroom with Carrie Elwes wrote the film?
Yeah.
Wow.
Swan, what did you think of this one?
Okay, this is the film that starts the franchise. It's definitely, in my opinion, the strongest film, because it's the first one that really explores human instinct and survival, and like how people interact when they're basically faced with impending death. I thought it was really good. It was really fun to see Carrie Elwes in not Princess Bride, but still have some of the same characteristics that Wesley had. There's a couple things that you notice throughout the entire franchise if you ever hear Carrie Elwes talk, and it's just like the way he talks, and that was really indicative of his time as Wesley. And it was fun to see that, but in a more modern and I guess current character. The traps are good. The character of Amanda was fun. I think that's especially since that's a character that is active throughout the entire series for the most part, and her growth in the first film was, I think that actually sets the tone for the whole franchise. I think basically this Saw is the cornerstone of the whole franchise, and I think it was actually probably one of my favorite films.
Yeah. What about you, John?
I liked this movie. It's way more sort of straightforward than the rest of the Saw movies are, so it's a lot easier to digest and take in and understand. It's simpler and more straightforward. It's easier to digest than the other Saw movies because you don't have to remember what happened 2 movies ago and be like, oh, that's a crazy thing, or, it's the traps other than the bathroom are pretty simple, but they still fit, whereas later movies sort of get off the Tobin Bell Jigsaw method.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
But that's understandable for stuff we'll talk about later. I didn't really care too much for the whole Danny Glover portion of the film.
He's getting too old. He's getting too old for this shit.
Yeah, right. But I think overall this movie is good. It's probably one of the better movies of the franchise. Carrie Elwes and that other guy who
Leigh Whannell.
Yeah, they both interact pretty well, despite a few things. And like any horror movie, there are plot holes that are sort of glaring, but if you can overlook those and sort of suspend, hey, that guy who's unconscious underwater in a bathtub should be dead already before he wakes up, if you can ignore that sort of thing, then this movie is pretty good.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Having watched all 7 films and then, having seen this one before, I have kind of fond memories of this movie because it's kind of one of the couple movies that got me into horror films. And it has a more visceral quality to it than the other films do because it was made on such a low budget, because it is essentially an indie film. Regardless of the franchise, this is an indie film. Mm-hmm. It was small budget, shot in 18 days. It's an independent horror film, but it's an independent horror film that struck a chord with the audience. Franchise aside, this movie stands up on its own. I mean, if you only watch this movie at the end, there'd be, this movie is a self-contained unit. Mm-hmm. You would never have to watch any of the other ones if you just watch this one.
But if you watch the other ones, you definitely have to watch this one.
Right. So the movie opens, and this is what John was talking about, with Leigh Whannell and Cary Elwes in a bathroom.
Like a shithole bathroom.
Yeah, chained to pipes on the opposite sides of the room. And there's a dead guy on the floor in the center of them.
In a puddle of blood.
Yes. So when Leigh Whannell's character wakes up, there's like a key?
There's a key attached to a glowing key ring floating in the bathtub with him. And it's like, a 30-second opening of the camera like sort of floating over his body. And he's like unconscious, totally passed out, completely submerged in the bathtub water. And then he just wakes up and sits up and unplugs the fucking drain.
He unplugs it by accident.
Right, he unplugs the drain with his foot as he rolls out of the bathtub.
Which causes the key to go down the drain.
Which they don't know about because he was unconscious, so he didn't notice the glowing blue key.
Right.
So,
So, dumb characters are dumb.
Right.
But to be fair, I mean, he's underwater.
Yeah, drowning.
Right. And so on this tape it says you have 60 minutes, and then if Cary Elwes' character doesn't kill Leigh Whannell's character, Cary Elwes' character is going to be shot and killed.
Is it 60 minutes? I thought it was
something like that. I mean, it's there's a time constraint.
Yeah, it was from whatever point that they woke up and then played the tape. He had till whatever 6 o'clock ish, PM or AM, doesn't really matter. They had till 6 to Cary Elwes had till 6 to complete the deed.
Yeah. So
it wasn't that Cary Elwes' character would be shot and killed. It was basically that there was poison in the air that would kill them both.
His family would be shot and killed.
Right.
He didn't know that. Yeah,
he did.
Yeah, they said it. They said that they had his. Or no, that's revealed later.
It's revealed later. At the onset of the playing of the tape, Cary Elwes doesn't know that they have his family.
Oh yeah, it's just, hey, kill this guy before 6 a.m. and I'll let you go.
Yeah, basically.
So they're in this room and there's a gun in the center and they can't reach anything. So they're trying to reach this gun. And all the while that this is going on, there's a parallel plot line. Or I guess not even a parallel plot line. It's a flashback that shows Danny Glover and Ken Leung playing 2 cops who are trying to track down the Jigsaw murderer.
You don't know it's a flashback.
Right, that's true. Well, no, it is because Cary Elwes tells them. He's telling Leigh Whannell about it. He's
about the cops? Oh, well, yeah, he's talking about... Oh, yeah, that's right. It's a flashback at first, and then it sort of catches up to them.
Right. Yes, because Cary Elwes reveals that he recognizes the fact that he's in a Jigsaw trap.
Right. Because he was suspected of being the Jigsaw killer.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. So Danny Glover and Ken Leung play these 2 cops who are trying to chase down the Jigsaw killer, and
Danny Glover is absolutely certain it's Cary Elwes.
Yeah, to the point of staking out his house
because he finds a laser pointer,
or flashlight, whatever. Yeah,
right. He finds a laser pointer that he just sort of takes to Cary Elwes and says, "Hey, there's your fingerprints on this. Is this yours?"
This totally couldn't have been planted or anything.
Right.
Yeah. So all the while this is going on, there's Cary Elwes is being brought in by the cops.
Bugs crashing your PAX party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondersight comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. lab proven to work fast, and proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wonderside's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wonderside.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wonderside.com. Wonderside. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wonderside today.
The character of Amanda is introduced, who is the only successful survivor of a Jigsaw trap.
So far.
So far. And she survives what is now, what is coined in the film and what is now colloquially known among all the fans of the movie as the reverse bear trap, where it's essentially, instead of the bear trap closing, the bear trap opens, but it's got a bar jammed into your mouth so that when it opens, it rips the top of your head off, or rips your mouth open.
Right, it rips your jaw apart.
Right.
Yeah.
And she survives it by cutting open a guy's stomach who's still alive and reaching in and grabbing out his guts.
Right, he's just
searching
like
for the key.
Drugged and paralyzed, I guess.
Yeah, because she's told that she's told that he's dead.
Right, Jigsaw
first.
tells her he's dead, and then she goes to stab him, and as she lifts the knife, he wakes up and goes...
And she kills him, and it's awful.
Right, she stabs him like 4 times, digs through his guts, finds the key.
Right.
And unlocks it, and like literally gets it unhooked from her as the timer clicks down.
Yeah.
Oh, and the timer only started because when she stood up really fast, there was like a wire, a trip wire that she pulled out of the mask to start the timer.
She yanked it out of the wall, which yanked it out of the back of her thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all the while this is going on, you see a character kind of watching Gordon's family and making sure that they're like kidnapped and whatnot. And you think it's Jigsaw the entire movie. And so, as the movie's kind of going on, Adam, played by Lee Wannell, and Dr. Gordon, played by Carrie Elwes, are trying to figure out kind of what they need to do to get out of this room. There's saws at one point in a toilet that they realize that they can't cut through their chains with. They have to cut their feet off, which we'll get to here in a second. And it's also revealed that Carrie Elwes' character is like cheating on his wife.
No, Carrie Elwes' character was going to cheat on his wife and then decided against it, but Jigsaw had already decided that he had already cheated on his wife.
Right. So they get to this point where Carrie Elwes is gonna kill Adam, Lee Wannell's character, and instead they decide that they're gonna try to figure out a way to get out together, as opposed to Carrie Elwes trying to kill him. And they kind of realize they can't do anything, so Dr. Gordon's like, I'm just gonna cut my foot off and crawl for help.
Oh man, are we skipping the cigarette? Where they pretend to dip a cigarette in the poison blood because they come to the conclusion that the blood that the dude is lying in is filled with poison?
Didn't he say that it was poisoned?
It says when you have that much poison in your system, there's no other choice but to kill yourself.
Right.
And so
they... Go ahead.
Right. Instead of assuming that's like a metaphorical thing, they're like, yeah, there's totally poison in that blood.
Right.
So then they dip one cigarette in the blood and then toss the other cigarette over to
Adam.
Right, and then Adam smokes that cigarette and horribly pretends to choke and die.
Right.
Just like...
So the time runs out, and all the while, Danny Glover is like watching Dr. Gordon's house because he's convinced that he is the Jigsaw killer. And in kind of watching his house, when the time goes up, Michael Emerson, who plays Zepp, who is actually the one who's kidnapped Gordon's family, is about to shoot his wife. And so Danny Glover's character runs into the house and stops him, along with the fact that, of course, Carrie Elwes' wife somehow escapes because no bad guy in a movie knows how to tie knots.
Or keep people from cutting those ropes.
Right.
Oh, look, there's a fucking sharp edge next to where I tied you up.
Right. And Carrie Elwes' character is, he's on the phone with her when this is going on.
Mm-hmm. So he's listening to Zepp try and, shoot her. And so they're, fighting over the gun and the gun's going off. And Carrie Elwes is just like, oh, no! No!
And so Danny Glover chases Zepp's character away, and Cary Elwes' wife survives, and then kind of in chasing after Zepp, Danny Glover's character gets stabbed and killed.
Right.
Yeah.
And previously, the Asian cop, whose name I forget, he got shreked by 4 shotguns suspended from the ceiling.
Right. Which is why fucking...
Danny Glover's alone and not technically working for the police.
Yeah, he's kind of just like rogue asshole who is convinced. I mean, he's just like a rogue asshole at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get to the end of the movie, and this is kind of, I think this is probably the part that we're going to talk about the most, which is the kind of the big twist. So Cary Elwes' character cuts his foot off in graphic fashion. It's pretty disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And he crawls away and he tells Adam that he's gonna go get help. Like, I'm gonna go get help. And then you kind of get the twist of the movies, which is that the guy who's been in the center of the room the whole time is the Jigsaw killer. What did you think of the twist?
Back in 2004, because I actually didn't see this in theaters, but I saw it as soon as it was available to rent. I think, my family and I actually rented it and had like a family movie night. And I remember
Saw.
With Saw, yeah.
In 2004, how old were you?
I was 14.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 14 when this movie came out. I remember the shock I had when Jigsaw stood up from it being in the center of the room. It's kind of akin to it's almost like an M. Night Shyamalan twist, except it doesn't ruin the movie for you. Most M. Night Shyamalan twists, especially if you think about like The Village, the twist in The Village is good once, but once you see it, the movie is spoiled.
Right.
In Saw, this twist is so good, and there's a couple more throughout the franchise that just enhance the overall story and plot and significance of story points. Because I think besides a lot of the acting actually in Saw, the writing in this franchise throughout the whole is probably some of the better writing I think we've seen, right, or are going to talk about. And so I think that makes this twist that much more compelling. Especially since Jigsaw, Tobin Bell, basically subjects himself to being in there. Granted, we find out that he's like drugged and he drugs himself to basically sustain that, because there's a large, I mean, not a large ruckus, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on in that room while he's in there. And the room on top of everything else is also revisited like 8 million times in the franchise. Don't forget that.
Just over and over again.
Yeah.
With like dead bodies and Gordon's foot.
Yeah.
Like fucking Cary Elwes' foot is in that room every time anybody goes in there, and they make sure to show you that it's still there.
Right, because somehow we would have forgotten that a guy cuts his own foot off to survive. John, what did you think of the twist?
Ba ba ba.
This is also the first time they used the Saw theme, which is Zepp's theme, which is reused every time that they do a twist at the end of a movie.
Every time, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. When I watched it, I wasn't 14. I was, 20 something, I think. So he stands up, and I was like, that's weird. How could he possibly have pretended to be dead that whole time? And you get an answer to that in like the 7th movie. So until you watch all 7 movies, it's a little bit of a sort of plot hole. But I think overall it's good. I think they did a good job of making Zepp look like he was Jigsaw. I knew he wasn't because, again, I didn't watch this movie when it came out. So I already sort of knew that Zepp had in a test himself. And I sort of knew that Cary Elwes was going to cut his foot off. And so it probably lessened the twist reveal thing for me. But it was still good and entertaining, and it's definitely I think
it sets a good kind of precedent for the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, because the first movie, the twist is kind of what most people remember from the movie, aside from the guy sawing his foot off. So I think that it's well done because of the fact that if you weren't paying attention for it, you wouldn't have seen it coming. So at the end, Dr. Gordon hobbling off with his cut off foot. You don't know where he goes. Adam is locked in the room at the end by Jigsaw, stuck to the the drain.
Yeah,
or the
because
pipe.
he kills Zepp by beating him to death with a toilet lid.
Right, in horrific fashion. I mean, getting beaten to death with a lid of a toilet's pretty, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, that's pretty shitty.
And Jigsaw locks him in the bathroom at the end of the movie and goes, "Game over," and closes the door. I think that overall, this is a good start to the franchise, but I think that, like you said, there are some plot holes that they retcon hardcore, obviously. Well, Swan, best performance, final thoughts, and best trap in the movie.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I guess for final thoughts, I'm going to go ahead and say that I kind of disagree with you and John a little bit, because what you guys call plot holes, I don't really see them as plot holes because they don't distract from the story or ruin it in any form or fashion.
Well, it doesn't make them not plot holes. It just means you're able to ignore them.
Because I don't really see them as plot holes. Like, I don't see a problem with, especially like the first time I watched Saw, seeing, or if you want to call the fact, like, not knowing how Jigsaw was in the room the whole time, not being able to move. I don't really call that a plot hole. Because to me, the first instance of Saw wasn't so much horror as much as it was psychological thriller.
Right.
So it made sense to me that weird shit was going to happen without any...
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Real, true explanation. And
Right.
I think if you approach probably the first three films as mostly mystery psychological thriller instead of just looking at them as horror, because there's graphic shit and horrifying things throughout the entire franchise.
This is the least graphic of all seven
This is
movies.
definitely the least graphic, definitely the least horrifying. Like, there's...
Because of the budgetary constraints. This movie was made for $1.2 million. Okay?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. But I don't... What you guys describe as plot holes, I don't see them as plot holes because I just accept them as part of the story. If we're meant to know them, they would be known, and they make things known throughout the franchise in, I think, really good fashion.
Yeah, but they didn't know they were going to make 7 of these movies.
Well, in the discussion I had with Mark Ralston, they had a plan to do, I think it was like 3 or 4 for sure, and then basically from where they were at that point, especially when they got to the 4th film, and they decided to bring Mark Ralston on, because funny story, Mark Ralston was apparently asked to be Jigsaw in the first place.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean the guy who wrote the film,
Lee Wannell.
Lee Wannell actually asked Mark Ralston. He's like, "Hey, I'm writing this movie, and I want you to play this character." And Mark Ralston was at a point in his life where he's like, "You know what? I don't think I'm going to be doing Hollywood. I'm leaving. I'm going to Europe." And so he left. And so Tobin Bell was cast as Jigsaw. But
man, what a different franchise it would have been. I mean,
well, I don't even know if it would have been all that different because I think
it would have to some extent because I think Tobin Bell kind of his performance.
Tobin Bell was fantastic.
Yeah.
But the type of actor Mark Ralston is, being like that, basically that hardcore character actor, I think he would have done a really good job. It probably would have been, it would have been different, but I think it would have been similar and as powerful as what we saw from Tobin Bell. Because I won't try and mince it at all. Tobin Bell was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm going to actually probably say, I actually want to kind of constitute a ban for Tobin Bell being best performance, because that's kind of a gimme.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up after this movie.
Yeah.
So,
well, to be fair, he's not the best performance in this.
Right, he doesn't really do much this movie.
No. But for best performance, I'll probably go with, you know what, Cary Elwes. I'll be that guy.
I mean, perfectly good pick.
Yeah, perfectly good pick. Favorite trap, I'm gonna go with the razor wire maze.
You gotta describe it because we didn't really talk about the sort of one-off traps.
Okay, so in a bunch of different flashbacks that we saw where Detective Hap or Cap, David Tapp, Danny Glover's character, he goes through and is investigating a bunch of Jigsaw traps and basically crime scenes. The razor wire maze was basically a guy who was hurting himself, cutting himself because he was depressed or whatever. Basically gets put in this maze that's made out of razor wire, and he is to get himself across the room. He has like 3 hours to do it before the room seals itself shut. And this guy basically gets tangled up in the razor wire and cuts his entire, basically eviscerates himself in this maze. And all you basically see is this corpse just hanging in the middle of this just fuck fest of razor wire.
Yeah,
it's pretty gross.
You get like fast motion jump cut canted angle sequence of shots that shows him desperately trying to like claw his way through and then dying just hanging there.
It is definitely one of the more graphic and more visually intense traps, and I think for that reason it's probably my favorite.
I'd like to point something out that, and this is kind of goes with the flashbacks that we didn't really touch a whole lot on. Cary Elwes at one point says that Jigsaw is technically not a serial killer.
Everybody says that. The whole franchise.
No. God. He is a serial killer. He is a serial killer.
Yeah,
by definition, he is a serial killer.
Making someone shoot themselves.
This is something that Peter Outerbridge and I talked about that he found to be as funny as I did. He is a serial killer. I don't know, what else would you classify him as?
Making someone shoot themselves is still murder. You can't just be like, well, hey, I didn't pull the trigger, they did. You can't be like, well, that's suicide. That's not murder. It's not going to hold up in court. You're going to jail and you're going to get fucking electrocuted.
Yeah.
Lethal injection or whatever it is they do now.
Wait, Swan, what's your argument? What's your counter argument?
Yeah, because I heard you go,
I'm in Jigsaw's camp on this one. He's putting people in a position where they get to choose what happens.
Yeah, but he's still a murderer.
He's still putting them in a position where they're gonna die.
Because what happens is, hey, either you in 3 hours magically find your way through this forest of razor wire that will almost certainly cut you so badly that you bleed out, if not disembowel yourself, or you sit here and the door locks and the room fills with poison and you never get out again. That's fucking murder, bro.
So it's like manslaughter versus like legit third degree murder.
It's
because there's like 6 degrees of
planned murder. Manslaughter is accidentally killing somebody.
No, because you can have manslaughter with intent. There's all kinds of goofy things that go into what classifies murder. No, he's not a murderer.
Hello, lawyers listening in the audience. What is Jigsaw? Nah, bro. Final thoughts are watch this movie, even if you don't. Well, I mean, obviously don't watch this movie if you don't like horror and gore. My parents, again, this is another movie they shouldn't watch. Yeah, which is why, if you don't like gore, don't watch any of those, and I'm not going to say that advice again. As for people that like horror movies, definitely watch Saw. It's the cornerstone of a franchise. It's an original horror thriller movie thing. It's pretty good. Even if you don't plan on watching all the rest of the films, you could totally watch this one without having to know about the other ones. So, if you just want like a one-off, this one is the one to watch.
Yeah.
Favorite performance? I'm gonna go with Michael Emerson as Zepp. He did a very good creepy dude that you think is the murderer. And the fact that he wasn't, and his sort of like tail end where he's about to like shoot Gordon right before he gets toilet lidded is a sort of interesting scene to watch him act out. Because he's like, I'm sorry, I have to do this, you're too late, boom, dead.
Right.
Favorite trap? I think I'm going to go with the flammable jelly, which is a trap in which Jigsaw takes a dude who pretends to be really sick a lot, apparently. He puts poison in his body. He covers him in flammable jelly. He puts a safe in the middle of the room in the middle of a room. The antidote to the poison is in the safe, and the ground of the room is covered in glass shards, and the guy is naked, and the wall of the room is covered in, like, combinations?
Yeah.
It's, like, covered in safe combinations. And the room is really dark, and so all the dude has to light the wall is a candle, and he sort of carries the candle across the glass and reads the wall combinations, and he tries to put the combinations into the safe to get the antidote, and if the fire touches him, he dies because he bursts into flames, and eventually the fire sort of catches the flammable jelly on fire and kills him. And the reason I like this trap is that it's not particularly cool or entertaining, and it's over really fast because he walks over like 2 pieces of glass, puts in 2 combinations, and then the candle lights him on fire. But I think it's a good look into the mind of Jigsaw, because he's always saying, hey, I don't kill people, I'm making you care about your life, I'm giving you purpose, all that kind of existential bullshit that comes with psychopaths. And everybody says that, he's not really a killer stuff. And this trap in the very first movie, when there's no assistants around to fuck up his ideal, is almost impossible. Because the candle that the guy has is, like, tiny as shit, and his entire body is covered in flammable jelly. So the dude's gonna burst into flames. And I think the reason it's almost impossible is because, and maybe this wasn't intentional, but because he's pretending to be sick, and Tobin Bell's character of Jigsaw actually is sick and dying. And I think maybe this guy pretending to be sick actually pissed Jigsaw off, and he didn't want this guy to live.
Right.
And so it's the very first one of the film series where, he himself sort of goes against his own ideology because of emotion.
I hadn't even thought of it like that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm actually not even going to fight you on this one. Only because throughout the entire franchise, the writers are really good about coming back and revisiting traps. And this is the only one that I don't remember them ever coming back to.
Yeah, because they even come back to the barbed wire one, don't they?
They do. Yeah, they do. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but I'm not going to side with you either. No, it's a good point that I don't have anything to say about. It is interesting. But I mean, because we don't come back to it. There's no point in the franchise that they come back and reference it.
Right.
I'm not going to fight for or against that.
Right.
I'll just admit that that's interesting.
Right. And, it never explains, like, how big of a deal is this guy's pretending to be sick? Did he take a couple sick days from work? Or is he pretending to have, like, cancer and then going off and going skydiving and shit? Which, to be fair, I might do if I had cancer.
I'm going to say that this movie is totally worth watching. And like John said, it is...
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed, lab-proven to work fast, and proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
It stands alone as its own movie, which is kind of important if you never watch any of the other films in the franchise. I'm going to go best performance, Lee Wannell, just based off the fact that he's not an actor by trade.
Mm-hmm.
he's he's just not an actor by trade, which is, and he does a really good job getting, dead, more or less, getting Shrek'd at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite trap, I'm gonna go with Zepp's trap/test, because it's kind of an over-encompassing thing throughout the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, that's kind of one of the more successful ones, is that entire movie is this one guy's test, and he fails it.
Right, because he doesn't, the whole thing is, can you kill a little girl to save yourself? And then he doesn't do
right.
it. But
So
then he decides to continue,
And he fails his test, which I think is kind of, the funny part about it is he fails his test, and in failing his test gets destroyed by the lid of a toilet seat.
It's not the lid of a toilet seat, it's the cap on the drain tank.
It's
right,
cap,
the back, the lid to the tank.
Yeah.
It's this solid porcelain.
Ceramic, yeah.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, you fucking dead.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to the second movie. Second movie came out in 2005, so a year later. Features all new cast except for a couple people. Tobin Bell, Shawnee Smith are the returning cast members. And
Shawnee Smith played Amanda. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Yeah. It features Donnie Wahlberg, Mark Wahlberg's brother, playing a cop whose son gets kidnapped by Jigsaw and put into this kind of horror house. And in this house, there are some characters played by Franky G, who John interviewed, Glenn Plummer, and a couple other people.
Glenn Plummer from Speed.
Right?
Yeah, man.
And The Day After Tomorrow.
Speed's the important one.
Yeah. And in this kind of horror house, the people in there have to work together to escape because they're all poisoned.
Well, I thought the house was, filling with gas.
Yeah, but they're being poisoned.
Right.
Swan, what did you think of this movie?
I thought, as far as sequels go, this was one of the better sequels to come out in probably the entirety of the 2000s of movies. Usually I'm not a big fan of sequels. I look forward to sequels knowing that I'm probably going to be disappointed. But I thought this carried on basically where Saw had started. I think Saw 2 takes it in the right direction and is a very strong second showing. So yeah, that's probably all I want to say about that. I think I'll keep that one nice and simple because there's probably some things in this film that we can actually just talk about as we move through the movie.
What about you, John? What did you think of this movie?
I like this movie. Dina Meyer's in it, who was probably one of my first celebrity crushes because Dizzy Flores and Starship Troopers.
Oh, my. My.
But, the movie itself is good. I like the sort of overarching end plot twist thing. I like the interactions of the people in the horror house. This is the first movie where Tobin Bell actually gets to act as Jigsaw as opposed to just lie dead on the floor. And, as we've already said, he's great. Donnie Wahlberg is better than I expected from the Wahlberg brother that I've barely seen in anything. Everybody in the house works well together as actors, not as characters.
Right.
But yeah, it's good. I liked it.
Yeah, I think that this is a really great film, and it changes up the formula a lot, which is important because the concept of the first film, if they had just kind of retreaded it, would have gotten extremely stagnant. I think that there are some parts in this movie that drag and aren't great. But, I think overall that this movie is one of the better ones in the franchise as a whole. Let's kind of get into it. So Donnie Wahlberg is a cop and they find Jigsaw, kind of in this house, and he's just kind of hanging out because he knows that he's kidnapped Donnie Wahlberg's son. Mm-hmm. And he's just kind of taunting him, telling him that if he sits and talks with him, his son will be freed. No questions asked.
Right. He's just like, if you sit and talk with me, I'll give you your son back.
Right.
That's Donnie Wahlberg's game. Is if you just the rule is sit and talk with me, and by the time the game is over, your son will be returned to you in a safe location, or whatever the line was.
Right. We'll get to that.
Because apparently it's like patience is his game, I guess, because he's like
And
a
wordplay.
dirty cop
Patience
that
and
plants
wordplay.
evidence and shit.
Patience and wordplay, bro.
Right.
Jigsaw is all about the wordplay.
But that's the point, right? Is that Donnie Wahlberg's character, like, plants evidence on people.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more, well, the character of Eric Matthews was apparently like a great and respectable cop, and then something happened, and he ended up like going down like to the dark side almost, where he started planting evidence, and his wife left him, and his son is fighting with him, and
roughing up suspects.
Yeah.
Right. So in this scene where Jigsaw is talking to Eric Matthews, there's a live camera feed kind of in another part of the room that they're able to watch the goings on in this horror house. What did you guys kind of think of this whole horror house concept?
I liked it. It expands on the first instances of Jigsaw's traps and incorporates a group dynamic that I think is great. In most psychothriller horror films, when there's a group dynamic, it's basically like how quickly can the killer kill off people one by one.
Right. And
that's translated into this film in a very different fashion, and I really liked it. John, what about you?
I liked the horror house. I think a couple of the traps are a little lackluster. They're kind of rushed. I mean, the box with the knife-covered hand spaces is a little bit kind of dumb. The needle pit is a little bit...
The needle pit's fucking awful.
Yeah, it would be awful to be subjected to that, but it's not like... I feel like it's not as brutal as even some of the traps in the first movie, I mean, it's like pinprick pains that really fucking suck, but they're not going to kill you unless you get some disease from them, and that's going to be slow and painful. But I think it's a little bit weird compared to some of the other traps in the series. Like, most of the traps are like the furnace or, the Venus flytrap thing that's just sort of a flashback in this movie.
Right.
Well, see, the thing I liked about these traps was that each trap was meant for a specific person, and it had to do with their past.
They've done.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But they don't have to be the ones that do them.
Well, yes.
Because Franky G's character just throws Amanda into the needle pit.
Which was uber fucked up.
Yeah,
he literally doesn't care.
Yeah, he just like picks her up and throws her in, and he's like, "Get the key! Get the key!" And she's like, okay, fine.
And actually, in this movie, I don't think I've made a decision yet what my favorite trap was, but this is one of the ones I liked the best. Actually, was the needle pit, mostly because it's extraordinarily simple, extraordinarily relevant to to Franky G's character, and it is simple enough yet potent enough. Because at that juncture in the film, the group in the house had a chance. I mean, that's a chance for them to get out of the house, if I remember correctly, right? Because that door, that's a simple find the key.
There's supposed to be two antidotes behind it.
Oh, behind the door?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Either way, I mean...
But the door was never going to open again unless they got it open.
Exactly.
Right, in a certain time limit.
Exactly. So it was extraordinarily simple, and, I mean, those aren't exactly pinpricks, because when they finally get Amanda out of the pit, I mean, we're
dealing...
like
needles sticking out of her arm.
No,
yeah.
I mean, I know, and I don't know if I've said this yet, but I liked the needle pit too. It just has a very different feel to it than some of the other ones. Whereas you watch the furnace and you watch the guy burn alive and you're like, ooh, man, that's fucked up. He's getting crispy. Whereas you watch the needle pit and you're like shivering because it's off-putting and gross and you really would hate to be in there, not because she's dead or because she's getting torn apart,
Yeah.
I like the needle pit, but it has a definite tone difference than some of the other traps.
I'm surprised you don't like the razor box trap. I actually really like the razor box trap.
That was really dumb.
I liked it because of how, if you were in it, how awful it is.
Yeah, if you're in it, but you can just use one hand to fucking brace the blades in the up position and then reach in with your other hand, and maybe when you pull out, you'll get cut a little bit, but you won't...
Yeah, but the point of these traps... especially throughout the whole series, if it's a trap that, especially if it's Jigsaw making the trap,
which at this point it still is.
Yeah,
right.
At this point it's still Jigsaw prepping all the traps. He's calculating on people panicking, and the point is for them to learn not to panic. So if she had witnessed, because I forget which character, it's the Latina character, right? That gets stuck in the razor box thing.
The hooker chick.
Yeah, if she had noticed the other traps and like learned from it, especially when she approached it like ready to go. She saw the antidote and everything. Mm-hmm. If she had not panicked, because literally she put one in, found out she couldn't get her arm out because she had already pulled down, so it was already cutting into her arm, and so she panicked and just shoved the other arm in to like pull the razor from the other side, and she just got stuck.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like that trap specifically, it feels like it relies more on stupidity than on a force of will to save yourself.
But at one point, Jigsaw says, and I don't remember it's in this movie or not, he says that he's extremely good at predicting human behavior.
Right. If you're good enough, it's not leaving anything to chance.
Yeah.
It was intentional that they would be dumb and shove their arms through there.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just be dumb. It's like he's banking on people panicking and being dumb. Basically just acting without thinking.
No, I know, but that one specifically requires more dumbness than the furnace or the needle pit, or, you don't get to see all the traps that have to have been in that house, but that trap specifically requires more stupidity. I mean, I feel like it only works if they're all fucked up on poison gas before they get there, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, literally, one other person in that room could have held the fucking razors open. Her other hand could have held it open.
She was by herself and under duress.
I am aware. I know, but what I'm saying is that trap takes a lot of chance. I mean, how did he know they wouldn't go that way first? How did he know that? I just feel like that trap, while nasty and fucked up, it requires a lot of stupidity and a lot of luck. And I think that even I just feel like that trap specifically is a poorly designed trap for Jigsaw. Because
it leaves so much to chance?
Right. And stupidity. I mean, if Franky G's character hadn't been as big of a dick as he was, because she's stuck in there and he, like, walks in when he's all pissed off looking for, neck numbers. And,
which we haven't even gotten to that point.
Right.
Man.
But he, like, just sort of walks in and she's like, help me, and he could have been like, bloop, and let both of her hands out, and instead he's just like, moves her hair out of the way and leaves her in that fucking box.
Yeah. So yeah, we haven't even talked about that yet, really. So in this house, there are a fair number of characters. I want to say, 5? 6?
Inside the house, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6.
8.
No, 7. There's 7.
So only like 3 of them die to traps. The other ones die because Franky G's character fucking kills them.
How many does he actually kill?
He kills Glenn Plummer. He kills the girl.
Which girl? No, Laura, the blonde chick, dies from poison.
Oh, yeah.
He finds her dead.
He kills Glenn Plummer.
Right, he kills Glenn Plummer because Glenn Plummer
was the only other dude that could really stand up to him if he really wanted to. I mean, it would have been a bad move for Glenn, I think, but he still was the only guy that was like willing to stand up to Franky G.
Right, and Franky G sort of realizes that there's numbers written on the back of everybody's necks, and he's all fucked up on poison at this point because it's so late in the game. And so instead of taking the time to be like, hey, Glenn Plummer, there's numbers on the back of our necks, let me look at your neck, he's just like swings a fucking bat filled with nails at Glenn Plummer, and they have a fight scene.
And Glenn Plummer's character gets owned.
Right.
Oh, yeah. John, you're right. There were 8, because I forgot about the guy getting Shrek'd at the very beginning.
Oh, the dude that gets shot through the eye?
Yeah.
Because they take a key that says, don't use this key on that door, and they go, fuck it, let's use the key on this door. And for some reason, while using the key on that door, another character feels it necessary to look through the eye hole.
Because movies.
Right, and then he gets shot with, like, a fucking...
He gets shot 45. With a huge he gets, like... Yeah.
It's like a 44.
Yeah, he gets his head blown, like, a hole blown in his head. You know, I like the aspect of the horror house. I think that unfortunately at the end it kind of falls flat because of the stuff that's going on outside with Donnie Wahlberg's character. There's not enough like escalation. I mean, there's only kind of so much stuff that can happen in this kind of scary house, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So during all of this, these people are running around and Franky G's killing them. Donnie Wahlberg's character is getting more and more frustrated with Jigsaw, and he eventually kidnaps Jigsaw.
Out of the room full of SWAT guys.
Yeah. And takes him, and he's like, you're going to show me where my son is. And Jigsaw's like, okay. So he takes him to this abandoned warehouse. And Donnie Wahlberg's character wanders into this place and gets kidnapped.
Right. He wanders in alone and gets kidnapped.
Yeah. And then this is kind of where the big, I mean, there's a twist at the end. Just forewarning, there's a twist at the end of every one of these movies.
Right.
Every single one. So then we kind of get the twist of this movie. So Swan, what did you think of the twist in this one?
I actually didn't like it as much as the one in the end of the first Saw film. I thought it was a genius twist. I thought it was a good twist. It's definitely not my favorite so far in the franchise. And it kind of just speaks to what kind of character Jigsaw is really. What about you, John?
Oh, I like this twist better than the first one. I mean, the first one is, hey, this guy that we made you think is the Jigsaw killer isn't the Jigsaw killer. Whereas this one is like everything that we've shown you is a lie. You know? I mean, like, it's so encompassing and so huge that I didn't even see it coming, and I pride myself in being able to sort of predict twist endings when I know they're coming, you know?
Right.
I mean, I watch a lot of this kind of twist ending stuff, and the fact that it was able to hide that stuff from me is impressive.
Well, I don't think it's so much that it's everything we've shown you is a lie, because everything that they saw happened. It's just, I guess,
in what order did it happen?
Right.
Yeah. Are we because we spoiled the twist in the other one. Are we
Well, yeah,
going to spoil this one?
Spoil it. Yeah. So
okay.
It turns out. You go ahead, Swan.
Yeah. It turns out that the twist in this film is that everything the SWAT team and Matthews has seen on the screen, because they can see everything from where Jigsaw is going on in the house. Turns out everything's time delayed. So the actual twist is the fact that if Matthews had not resorted to beating the shit out of Jigsaw and just played the game out, he would have found his son. Because literally, Eric Matthews beats the shit out of Jigsaw. Jigsaw takes him to the fucked up horror house, and Matthews gets trapped inside and ultimately gets locked in the bathroom from the first film.
Mm-hmm.
Again, going back to that bathroom, and Matthews' son is in a safe that was literally like 10 feet from Matthews in Jigsaw's room at the other location. So if he had just waited and played the game right and followed the rules, he would have gotten his son and Jigsaw would have been done. But Matthews can't play the game.
It's because like half of the characters in this franchise are fucking idiots.
To be fair, if I thought that my son was in a poison nerve gas house with a bunch of people that I put in jail,
I would sit and listen to the psychopath who has him.
I mean,
yes,
I would, but it would be tough for me to not kick the shit out of Jigsaw to try and get him to tell me where my son is. I mean, that's some big stakes to trust that this psychopath serial killer is telling you the truth.
Well, yeah, and this is something we're going to see throughout the entire franchise, is that basically Jigsaw is trying to get specific characters to, it's almost like
break their character traits.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because he's basically trying to force them into a colloquial 12-step program, but it takes place in like an hour. And so they have to go through all these steps of like realizing they have a problem, dealing with that issue, and then like destroying that vice that's been ruining their life, or a vice that they've been using to ruin other people's life. And so you're basically trying to force people to alter who they are in a very short amount of time. In the case of Matthews, like, I mean, he's gone through a lot of stuff that's created the man that he was at that moment, and he just ended up breaking and beating the shit out of Jigsaw and failing the game.
Yeah. I like the twist in this movie. I mean, I don't know. I think I wouldn't say cheap. I kind of feel like it's a little cheap.
I felt it was a little cheap.
Just because it's like, hey, we were showing you this stuff in the wrong order. Haha.
Not in the wrong order, but the fact that everything was time delayed by a couple hours.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of cheap.
I mean, I like the twist. It's not my favorite, but I thought it was well done and well executed. I just, upon seeing it, I was like, oh, that was cheap.
Yeah. I think that the other twist with Jigsaw taking him to the wrong place and him getting kidnapped at the end, I think that that's kind of inherently more interesting than what, the whole his son being locked in the safe is. So I think in regards to like quality of twist, it's an interesting twist, but I do think that because it's using this plot device of, oh, it was filmed after the fact, I think that is the cheap part of it. So the movie ends with Matthews being kidnapped, his son being in a safe alive, and kind of the status of Matthews as a character is left unknown. And he, again, the door closes and says, game over, and she closes the door on him, leaving him to die inside the room, leaving Amanda to die in the room. That was the other thing we haven't talked about, is that it's not made known to you in the first movie, but in the second movie, the twist is the bigger twist that has more franchise kind of implications, is that Amanda is working with Jigsaw.
Right, because after she survived the trap, it changed her life, and she felt grateful, so she joined him.
Right, and so it turns out that Amanda was kind of, in the house, but also kind of making sure that they were going in the right direction. So I think that the thing with Amanda is kind of a cooler twist than the Eric Matthews stuff.
I think I just liked watching the characters have the realization. I don't know if the twist itself was astounding, but like watching all of the cops realize what the fuck is going on and realize they essentially just let Jigsaw go.
Right.
I think that was entertaining to watch all these people go, it's time to lead, and then have Donnie Wahlberg locked in that room going, no!
Because, the first two movies kind of come full circle in a way, which I think is, pretty great if you look at it. Because the first movie ends with a guy being locked in the room. Second movie ends with a guy being locked in the room. Mm-hmm. Same room. And, and Adam's corpse is, you can totally see Adam's corpse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All, grayed and rotting.
And Franky G kills himself, more or less.
No, he cuts the back of his neck off to get his own number because he doesn't trust anybody else to look at it and tell him. And then he steps forward to kill Amanda and the kid. Donnie Wahlberg's son just slashes his throat with a piece of mirror.
Right. But he kind of kills himself in the sense that he's being a dickhead and he deserved to die.
Well, yeah.
Because he wasn't playing nice. So Swan, best performance, best trap, and final thoughts.
Okay. Best performance. Probably gonna have to go with Shawnee Smith, who plays Amanda Young, mostly because of how her character operated, being the fact that she was kind of a Confederate in the group and having to interact with all of these characters and not give away the fact that she knows what's going on.
Because it's not obvious at any point, other than the fact that she's in the first movie.
Yeah, until we see as we get to the end of the film, as we see some flashbacks, yeah, it's not all that apparent. It makes it kind of seem that she basically redeemed herself from the first trap, but then as she's under the tutelage of Jigsaw, she starts fucking up because she starts cutting herself, and then so Jigsaw tries to test her again.
That's in the third movie.
Well, whatever. Fine. Great. I spoiled some of the third movie.
She was in this trap, I think, just to make sure that they all kind of went the route he wanted them to go.
She's supposed to be the role player, but it can kind of be seen, I guess, a little bit, because there will be no other reason for her to be in there, because she can get shreked by something.
Yeah.
So at some point she's being tested, but she's already been through one test, and she admits that she's already made it through one test. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Shawnee Smith for best performance. Favorite trap, I'm actually gonna go with the fly trap, which is the first trap we see in this film, and this is actually something we didn't cover this part because it's kind of a not so important part of the film for the most part.
It's not connected to the house.
But it becomes a common theme throughout the movies that it opens this kind of cold open with a trap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and at some point, most of these traps or most of these incidental scenes that open films become important, because this one actually becomes important later on in the film, later on in the franchise.
Because of a scene that you see, which is a man putting a key in someone's eye.
Yeah.
Who is hobbling around.
And so in this trap, Michael Marks, who is an informant for Eric Matthews, is basically stuck in this Venus flytrap / medieval death mask thing. And basically he has a set amount of time to basically cut a key, because he sees an x-ray that shows that there's a key inserted basically right under his eye, and he has to cut open
behind his eye.
No,
I don't think it's actually behind
cheek, right in front of his eye.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was straight up behind his eye.
No, all he
no,
has,
'cause-
he doesn't have to scoop his eye out. He just has to slice the stitches open and pull it
Yeah,
out.
there's
Wow.
some stitches and like there's basically a seam, basically right at the top of his orbital bone,
Ugh.
and so he basically has to jam a scalpel into that right under his eye and cut that open and get the key out. Well, he can't do it, and so it just snaps shut, and
'Cause
he
he's
falls to the
a
ground.
pussy.
Yeah, he pussies out. He quits, and he just gets shreked by this death mask.
Yeah, it's essentially a portable Iron Maiden,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
is what it is.
If you've ever seen the movie The Iron Mask or the Man in the Iron Mask, it's basically the story of the twin of Louis XIV or whatever, where he basically gets shut in an iron mask. It's that mask basically, but with like spikes in it. It
Yeah.
just shreks his head.
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
It's definitely conceptually, it's probably one of the more gruesome traps in the second movie.
Especially considering where the key is placed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ugh.
Ugh. Things that make you go, buh.
Right. What about you? Final thoughts, though, Swan?
Oh, final thoughts. I mean, this is definitely a movie you must see. Well, not must see, but it's something you probably should see. Similarly to the first film, this is a film you could actually probably see by itself. I think you can actually see this as a standalone if you don't feel like watching the first one for whatever reason. You can get away with seeing this one and not any of the other ones. If there's anything important in the first film, they usually reference it in this one. There's usually some kind of quick flashback that will basically catch you up to where everything is. But from this point moving on, you'll need to see this one for sure. If you're going to watch 3 through 7, you have to see this one.
Yeah.
And this basically is that next, not the cornerstone, but it's that next foundation block in this franchise. It's a really good film.
Yeah. What about you, John? Best performance, best trap, final thoughts.
Yeah, like Swan said, this is another standalone film. You can watch this by yourself, or by itself. You should. It's another one of those good horror movies. It's got some interesting twists and some interesting traps. I think my best performance is probably going to go to Donnie Wahlberg. I've never really seen him in anything other than like a mini series that he was in where he robs a bank with John Leguizamo. So I noticed, I was like, man, that looks like Mark Wahlberg. So I looked it up to see if it was Mark Wahlberg, and it was Donnie Wahlberg. And I was a little surprised that he was as good as he is in this movie, just because he's not in a lot of shit.
Right.
So I didn't expect him to be all that great. As for traps, I think my favorite trap, and, it's not like a one-person death thing, it's the electrified staircase that the SWAT team goes up.
And all get, owned.
Yeah, so the SWAT team busts into Jigsaw's hideout, and they come to a large metal cage surrounding a stairwell, and they just cut the lock and, open the cage. 3 dudes walk in, and they go right up the stairs, and they don't check for anything. They don't check for tripwires or traps, or they don't even, toss anything against the fence to see if it's electrocuted. They don't do any sort of prep before walking into Jigsaw's headquarters, which is insane, and it's indicative of what happens in literally every movie we're going to talk about. The cops know what Jigsaw is. They know what he does. They know
just disregard it.
Right. They're just like, we're not going to brace doors open or fucking check for traps when we walk through hallways. They're just like, fuck it, let's go. And they run up the stairs, and what happens is one of the steps is pressure sensitive, and so when the first cop steps on it, it drops down, and the step above it shoots forward and breaks the dude's shins.
Which is awful.
Right, it's horrible. And he falls backwards down the stairs, shoving the other cops, and the pressure switch closes the cage door behind them, and starts electrifying the cage. And so when the guy falls back, the cops grab to brace themselves on the cage right next to them, and they all get electrocuted. They're fucking dying because they're dumb.
Yeah, the cops in the Saw franchise are not the smartest.
No, they are.
Well, the unnamed,
Yes.
red shirt cops.
Yeah.
Right.
Red, yeah.
Yeah, they're dumb. Dumb is dumb.
Very dumb. I'm going to say my favorite trap in this movie. I'm going to have to go with the furnace trap.
Mm-hmm.
Because that guy's dumb. All he had to do was barely burn himself. So in what happens is Obi, one of the characters in the horror house,
who helped Jigsaw kidnap everybody.
Yeah, he is he's an arsonist, so he has to go into this furnace to get a key out.
No, it's two dangling antidotes.
Oh, the antidotes. Excuse me.
I didn't think he was an arsonist. I thought he was a con man. It was like a joke. It was like a play on words about him burning people with like false promises and things.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he goes into this little furnace to get the antidotes, and as he goes into the furnace closes, and he has to turn off this switch that has this devil face pointing at it to turn off the furnace before it kills him.
Hang on. It's not even as he goes into the furnace, because when he climbs in there, it doesn't close. And when he pulls the first antidote needle down, it doesn't close. It's only when he pulls the second antidote needle down that the door slams shut behind him and the fire starts.
Right.
So once again, this guy...
He said that's right, because Jigsaw says one of them will come with a price.
Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, it's like you can get the one for yourself, but you can get the second one for one of your comrades, but there'll be a price to pay. And the recording later goes on to even say that only the devil can help you in hell, which I thought was like kind of clever, especially noticing the little devil inside there.
Yeah, the devil drawn above the fucking knob with an arrow pointing at it. Once again, this is a trap where the guy could have just walked in, looked around, and checked shit out, and then fucking solved it.
What is smart?
And they know, it's not like these guys don't know what Jigsaw is, because Amanda tells them.
That's true. So he crawls into the furnace and gets destroyed. He gets lit on fire and burned alive. And there you go. End of story. I'm going to go with best performance.
Whoa, that's not the end of story, bro. That's like half the trap. They end up breaking that glass window, and he, like, shoves his body, like, he gets, like, one arm and his head out of the furnace. And then he gets stuck because they can't get him out, and so they're trying to, like, pull on him. And he's just like, oh, God, it burns out!
That's true. He does get, like, lit aflame halfway out of the trap. Best performance, I'm going to go with Franky G just because he's an insufferable asshole in this movie.
He's such a good asshole.
Like a psychotic, insufferable asshole.
Yeah, he's like the secondary bad guy in a film that has a psychopath who kills people as the main bad guy.
Oh yeah, he's definitely like the wild card bad guy, and I thought that was a good dynamic to have in the house.
In regards to this movie, you have to watch it if you're going to watch the other ones. I enjoyed it. I think that some of the characters in this film are much stupider than some of the other ones in the other movies. But I think it's a fairly decent entry in the franchise. It's one of the better ones in the franchise, that's for sure. So, well,
I will say that, I mean, yes, the group acts pretty dumb, but if you can accept that as a fact of them being under severe duress, you can live with it, and it doesn't. To me, it didn't detract from the movie, because I was basically like, all right, they're in a world of pain, they're suffering, because like a lot of them are like coughing up blood and shit like that, so they're already tense and under high stress and in shitty situations. So the acting dumb, I just kind of dealt with and didn't let it bother me.
I can see that. I can see that being kind of under duress. So, well, like we mentioned earlier, John interviewed Franky G, so we'll play that interview, and when we come back, we'll talk about Saw 3.
So had you seen the Saw movies before you auditioned for the second one?
No, I haven't. No, I didn't. Well, I was approached by my agent that the director of Saw 2 wanted me for this film, and I said, "What Saw?" And he sent me a DVD of the first Saw, and I thought it was really well made, and it was very, very interesting, so I got on board on the second one.
And did you watch the rest of the movies after the second one?
No, not really. No,
all right.
I just, after that was it,
Right. So you were contacted by the people that made Saw, so there wasn't very much of an audition process for you?
No, not much. I just had to meet with the director, Darren, Bousman, and that was it.
Gotcha. Okay. Did you prepare in any way, any like specific way for your role as the drug dealing sort of bad guy, I guess?
To prepare for that role?
Yeah.
Just be very angry. You know, and just when I saw the first video, and then I knew what the objective was. You know, so I knew how to go in the sense of what to do. You know, I could be a nice guy in the beginning, and at the end, I had to fight for my life.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely got that sort of imposing, sort of intimidating character across pretty well.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I try not to too much scream. I just let my facial expressions just speak for itself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I had fun doing it. I had a great time doing it. And we shot in a warehouse in Vancouver. It was great. We had a great time. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it looks like one of those kind of movies that would be really sort of fun to do.
Yeah. One thing about Darren, the director, that he would come up to us and tell us, what would you do in this situation? How would you, if you were stuck in this situation, what would you do? How would you bring these lines to life or whatever? And then we all sat down and just started saying stuff, you know?
Right.
And we came up with ideas, and some of the ideas he came with, the ideas he liked. So it was great.
So we've talked to some other people involved with the movie, and some of them said that some of the scenes that they, or not Saw 2 specifically, but the franchise as a whole,
right?
And some of them have said that there were scenes that they filmed that were difficult for them to do just because of the sort of visceral, gritty sort of gore of the scene. Were there any that you had to do that were like that?
No, I felt good doing it. I mean, everything. I just thought of more stuff to bring to the table, you know, the idea of it, to just get more blood or what have you, you know. But they cut my neck. I love that. I mean, it was like to bring that, you know, and I wanted to stand up and just let people see when the blood was coming down, you know.
Right.
That really was just, that's part of horror, you know.
Uh-huh.
But one thing I did, there was one when I threw I found this out later, when I threw Amanda into the pit, and I found out later that she was like 3 months pregnant or 4 months pregnant at that time.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know. And she came up to me at the ADR session and goes, you know, Frankie, I was 4 months pregnant on that. If I would have told you, you wouldn't have done anything. I said, that's true. I'll be I would have been very careful with that.
Yeah, definitely.
That was the only thing that really, I was like got me nervous, you know, when she told me that. I said, oh my God. And I am throwing you all over the place.
Do you were talking about the next scene. Can you sort of walk me through a little bit how that scene was filmed?
Which scene? Which scene you talking?
The scene where you cut the skin off the back of your neck.
Oh, you know what was funny about that? There's a funny story about that. We had 2 takes on that. There was one take, right? I cut off my neck, and when I cut that off, I loved it. It took like 3 hours to put that prosthetic neck on me and the tube behind my back and everything like that. But what happened was, when I took it, the director told me to take the skin when you cut it and fling it. Just throw it towards whatever. You look at the number and fling it. So I said, all right, and I did that in the first take. But then I went back and they had to fix me up again to get for the next take. And the FX guys came up to me and said, listen, Frank, we only got one left. If you fling this, we have no more. Now, I didn't tell the director anything. So I improvised. And what I did, when after he cut me and I was screaming, when I was cutting the back of my neck and I was screaming and thinking about how I'm going to cut this neck, and I was looking at it, and when I went towards the mirror, that was improvised too, because I had the knife, I couldn't find the number, so I had to go to the mirror, try to wipe it. So when I cut the neck off and I saw the number, I put it in my pocket, and they went bananas with that. And they kept it on the scene. And that was because the FX guy told me not to throw it. That was, you know what I mean? So I didn't know what to do with it. So I looked at it and I said to myself, oh, now what do I do with this? Okay, now I'll put it in my pocket. And that's what I did. And I thought that was
That's really good, because I really liked, your character puts that in his pocket, and I was like, oh, man, that is...
Yes, exactly. And after that, people were laughing. I said, oh, my God, he put it in his pocket. Oh, so that was funny. We had a laugh at that.
Were you sort of, you'd seen the first one just before starting to film the second one. Were you at all disappointed that your character's death wasn't more sort of dramatic and in some, not dramatic, but in like one of those weird complex traps?
No, I liked the way my character was. I really enjoyed that, because his objective was to kill anyone or try to get that number to get out. You know, the traps, I'm glad that he did it in that way, that I just go after each guy, each person with a number. You know what I mean? So then I could get the combination or whatever I need to do to get out of there. So I enjoy that aspect of the character. If he put me in the trap, then I would have loved if he would put me in Saw 3. The next Saw after that, it would have been much more cool because I had crazy ideas for it. Just in case.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But, I got killed off, so that was it. And a lot of people,
Right.
a lot of fans came up to me at Comic-Con and said they hoped I was in another 3 or 4 because what I brought to the character, Mm-hmm. And I think when I was working on that character, I had more ideas if I was going to get in number 3, So.
Can you expand on what those ideas were exactly?
Well, some of them expanded. If I lived, maybe it could have trapped me, or I could have been still stuck there and trying to find a way out, or what have you. Whatever idea they came up with, just so the audience could see more of me and who I was.
Right.
And how I was. Here I am, nice guy. All of a sudden, now everybody's on their own. You're on your own. I'm going to cut you up now,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would have been a little more interesting in a sense,
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, of all the characters in Saw 2, I think Years and Glenn Plummer's are probably the two most interesting.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So you're credited in Saw 3 because there's just a second long shot of your dead body.
Yeah.
Did they shoot that shot at the same time as filming the second film?
No, they called me down when they started shooting 3, and I said, "What do you want?" I said, "Frank, can you do me a big? You fly down here." I said, "Well, I wasn't doing anything. So I just went over and I did it for Darren. Did him that favor, and I went over and I said, I'll do it, and that was it. And I thought I would have loved it if I would have got up, He would have said, "Oh my God, he's getting up. That wasn't enough for him." Oh man, that would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
Yes. I didn't get but I picked up the saw. I picked up the saw that guy cut me with the neck with, Oh, forget it. That would have been, people would have been going bananas with that, But, it is what it is.
So do you have any other particularly memorable stories from this set?
Well, some memorable ones were I had a lot of blood. One time they were shooting a movie right next door to us, an Antonio Banderas movie. It was a dance movie. I don't recall what was the name it was, but my wife called me on the phone, so I had to call her back. So I had to step out, and I had all this blood all over me, and the kids were outside. And the minute I walked out, they went bananas. They were like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" It was like something happened. Like something happened. Relax. And we're shooting next door. It was doing Saw, blah, 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 blah. And that was a memory that I had. And that moment when you catch people out of, in surprise. You're surprised them when I know what the hell is going on. You just open the door and they're all hanging about. Must have been like 20 kids.
Right.
And they just, "Oh my God, what happened? Oh my God." And then the blood was all over me. And I'm talking on the phone. I said, "No, we shouldn't. Just relax." They get nervous. They were like 17 teenagers.
Right.
So that's one of the memories I had.
Were you guys, the film itself your parts are mostly set in a house.
Right.
Were you filming in a house, or was it more of a studio set or like a warehouse?
Warehouse, yeah. And they built the studio and they built the sets inside that warehouse. The warehouse was monstrous, so they shot that. They shot everything in that particular warehouse. Some of the outside scenes were shot around the warehouse, outside the warehouse. So everything was shot there on one location.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
On to Saw 3, the third installment in the franchise, features the first appearances of Costas Mandylor and Betsy Russell, who are major characters in the franchise. In this movie, they're not though. And it features Jigsaw again, Tobin Bell, in his last role alive in the franchise. And it features Angus McFadden as a father of a child who gets killed because of a drunk driver. And so Angus McFadden is put in this trap to decide the fate of the drunk driver, essentially. He's the traps are testing him.
And his ability to forgive.
Right, not like himself.
I mean,
they're
he gets a little bit of pain on him, but it's not like he gets his cheek burned off and he has to like sift through pig shit and stuff like that. But like overall, it's not him.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, this is not his. The traps are for him, but not in the sense that he has to like cut his arms off or stuff like that. So.
No, yeah, his test is to basically suffer a little bit, but it's for him to learn forgiveness because he's been harboring so much anger and desire for vengeance.
Right.
But it's also, at the same time we mention Angus McFadden's character, we should probably go ahead and mention Bahar Sumek, who is Lynn Denlin, who is Jeff's wife, who is a doctor.
Who you don't know you don't know she's Jeff's wife until the end.
No, yeah, you do. There's a scene where they're, like, together.
That's not him. That's the dude that she's, like, cheating on him with.
Oh, that's awkward. Okay, my bad. The character that she cheats on with looks similar, so...
That's the twist at the end, is that they're married.
I didn't realize that I didn't realize that was a cheating scene. I literally thought that was Jeff.
I mean,
guess I wasn't.
It's weird, because he says when she's leaving, she's like, I want a divorce. But I looked it up to check because that confused me, and it's definitely not the same guy. It's definitely the dude she's cheating on her husband with.
Got it. I heard mention of I noticed mention of the cheating at the end of the film. I didn't catch it at the beginning of the first scene of it. I literally thought that was Jeff in that scene with her.
Well, because they make it look like he's her husband. He says that I want a divorce thing, and she walks out.
Those two actors at first glance actually look pretty similar.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not paying uber attention.
Right, and I think that's intentional.
Yeah. So, kind of a little bit of the twist kind of give it away. Lynn is Jeff's wife, and she's been kidnapped as well to take care of Jigsaw.
To keep him alive until Jeff gets there.
Right. And she has a shotgun collar put on her neck.
Oh. Honestly, dumbest trap in the whole franchise.
How so?
Okay, look. When Amanda activates the collar, because Amanda is, like, keeping everything going while Jigsaw is laid up in bed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the point is that if Jigsaw dies, or if Lynn leaves a certain radius, the trap will go off and fire the shotgun shells into her face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is awesome. But when Amanda arms the trap, she literally cocks back 6 hammers, one at a time, one for each shotgun shell.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, if Lynn had killed Amanda, she could have then manually lowered with her hands each of the hammers, and then just walked out. And when the trap went off, the hammers would already be down, and there would be no force to send the rounds off. It is literally take half a second, know how guns work in the most basic form, and get out of there.
Yeah, I can see what John's saying. But again, it's this whole being in a rush.
Yeah, but situation. She's not really. There's a bunch of scenes where she's just like sitting in a chair waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, but if she tried to do something, Amanda would have killed her.
Right, but at one point, Amanda also gives her a fucking weapon, turns around, and says, go ahead, do it, but you'll die if you do.
It's true.
Yeah, I can see the argument for that being a dumb trap, but you're also assuming that she has a basic understanding of how guns work.
Not like the inner mechanics, just the fact that the hammer has to fall to set off a round.
No, I get that, but you're assuming that she knows she's going to be able to lower all, because there's 6 shells. You're assuming that she's going to be able to lower all six hammers.
What, dude? It's so easy to lower the hammer on a gun.
Except we're talking about a jigsaw trap, bro.
Well, it doesn't look like Amanda sets anything up to keep them from dropping.
Doesn't mean that there isn't. It's a jigsaw trap.
Ugh, that's
apparently in a deleted scene. There is also Lynn gets the key from Amanda and tries to take the collar off, and she can't. Further reinforcing the shit with Amanda, who we haven't even gotten a chance to talk about that yet. Amanda is Jigsaw's apprentice, and at the beginning of the movie, there's a guy in a trap who he has chains like stuck into his body
with big fucking piercing things,
hoops.
Yeah,
and he has to rip the chains out to escape because there's a bomb that's going to go off.
And one of them is through his jaw.
Yeah, it's through like his soft palate in the bottom of his mouth and comes out at the bottom.
Well, yeah, but it's hooked on his jawbone. That's the problem.
Right.
Right. There's no way to tear your jaw apart.
Because the other ones are like in his arms and his chest,
And
so
his
he's
skin
able to
and
like,
shit, yeah.
yeah, he's able to pull them out. And then there's one that's just like in his jaw, so he can't pull it out. So Amanda has taken this Jigsaw idea of giving people a chance to save themselves and essentially just killing them, making unescapable traps.
Right, because even if that guy had taken the chains off, there's a bomb in the room and she welded the door shut.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the cops had to get a welding team in to get inside.
Yeah, I mean, that is an important point of this film. However, the shotgun shell trap, I believe, was designed by Jigsaw.
Yeah, Jigsaw said he designed it, but that doesn't mean Amanda couldn't make adjustments.
True, because there's a point later where we see some adjustments go on, but...
But I mean, that trap still doesn't... Look, you don't have to take it off if you can disarm it.
I'm with
and
you.
I think the maybe there's something that keeps the hammer from lowering in that thin chunk of metal that's attached to her chest. I think that's a convenient excuse because Jigsaw, you know?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I don't think it's the best trap, but I think the ramifications with him dying are interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So parallel to Lynn's storyline, Jeff, her husband, is going through his own traps to forgive people that were involved in the death of his son.
Some of those, man.
Yeah. So the first trap is a freezer room where a woman is chained in the center of the room naked, where she's being sprayed with water. It's like a giant freezer. They're in a freezer. And she didn't testify against the guy who killed Jeff's son.
Right, she was a witness and didn't give a statement.
Well, she was the only eyewitness besides Jeff.
Right. And she didn't testify, so she's as guilty as everyone else.
In the mind of this guy.
So Jeff has to stick his face against freezing pipes to grab a key to let her loose. And of course, in typical Saw fashion, he decides way too late.
Right, and she
to try and save her.
Freezes into a human popsicle.
Literally covered in ice.
Uh-huh.
I thought that this trap was stupid. It's one of the dumbest ones in the franchise.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
It's kind of boring and one-dimensional.
I'm going to disagree because all throughout this set of... I'm not going to call any of these traps. These are tests. These are not designed for the person that the pain's being inflicted on, the carnal pain, the ultimate, like, the possibility of death. This is not for them to escape. This is all on Jeff being able to forgive the people who Jeff thinks is responsible for the death and not basically lack of punishment on the driver that killed his son. So these aren't traps. So if you look at them from that aspect, that this is for Jeff to decide whether they live or die, whether he forgives or he doesn't forgive, it gets a little bit more meaningful, a little bit more powerful. I'm fairly certain none of us have actually dealt with the loss of a child. I mean, I don't have kids. Chris doesn't have kids. John doesn't have kids. As far as I know. As far as I know, none of us have kids. So none of us have had to deal with the potential loss of a child. So I think it's kind of hard for any of us to kind of empathize where Jeff is emotionally and psychologically. But the aspect that he has the opportunity to let the woman that basically let the guy off, he has the opportunity to let her die. And so he's dealing with the moral ramifications of that, if that's something he can live with or not. And he decides he can't, but she ends up dying anyway because of his lack of commitment.
Because of too slow.
I get where you're coming from, Swan, but I think that this is still one of the dumber setups. I mean, she ran away, which is understandable. I mean, it's a real bitch to be involved in some shit like that. But at the same time, there's a choice to be made, and it's let her die or not. And you have to get the key anyway to get out of there, because the door locks behind Jeff because, bracing doors open, which I'm gonna bitch about for every one of these movies, by the way. So he has to get the key anyway, and it's literally just if I get it fast enough, I can save this person's life, who is dangling naked in front of me, that I clearly don't really hate, but when Jigsaw says, hey, by the way, this is the chick that didn't do it, then Jeff goes, oh, right, that's who this person is. Because he didn't recognize her when he walked in.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as Jigsaw says, hey, this person is kind of responsible for your child's death, he goes, oh, maybe I won't save her, even though I have to get the key anyway. And then, even if that isn't dumb to you, the way that she dies, I mean, she freezes into a solid block of ice, essentially, and doesn't she, shatter?
No. I mean, the ice kind of cracks a little bit because he taps her face.
To further reinforce that she is a fucking ice cube.
Fudgesicle. Right. I mean, I think that ending is, I mean, you could have just had her get all blue and pass out. You didn't need her literally covered in a block of ice.
Well, I mean, it's not a block of ice. It's only about
a sheet of ice. Jesus, Swan.
Because I actually
she's frozen solid.
Yeah, I kind of like this death situation for this woman, mostly because of the subtlety of because it's not like Jigsaw isn't spraying her down with water. It's misting, so it's actually legitimate buildup of ice and the pain of basically freezing, because that's not an easy way to go. From what I've had, what I've read and just had described about freezing to death, that's not an easy, fun way to go.
I think it was a little weak. I think it was a weak setup, and I think that the end sort of depiction of it was a little too cartoonish for the Saw movies. But, that's me.
I don't know. I mean, in comparison to the next trap, which is colloquially termed the pig pool, it has the judge who didn't give the drunk driver enough time, or the driver.
I thought it was the lawyer. Is it the judge?
It's the judge.
Okay.
He's chained to the bottom, or he's braced by his neck to the bottom of this silo, and pig corpses are dropped into a saw chamber next to him. Rotting pig corpses.
Yeah, there you go.
With maggots and shit crawling in them.
And the pig corpses are ground up.
And liquefied, essentially.
Yeah, liquefied and shot into the silo with the judge, and he is drowning in pig.
Because as the pig guts lift, they end up covering everything but his mouth and his gut.
Yeah. So he's drowning in pig liquid.
Yeah, just submerged, yelling that Jeff shouldn't let him die.
And Jeff has to light his son's possessions on fire
to get the key.
Yeah, to get the key, because the key is in one of the kids, stuffed animals or something. And so he has to light the stuff on fire to get the key.
And it's sort of a symbolic abandoning, because earlier in the movie he yells at his daughter who's still alive because she takes one of the dead kid's stuffed animals because she wants to sleep with it to remember him.
Yeah.
And he gets super pissed that she fucked with his stuff.
I think that this is an interesting trap. I mean, it's kind of boring. It's more gross than anything else. Mm-hmm. But I think that's kind of a boring trap, or test, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's just a guy drowning.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, these tests, I mean, you guys keep looking at them from the aspect of the person dying, but you gotta look at the meat of these tests is what Jeff is going through. So, I mean, this is kind of a classic thing that we see in any movie or TV show that has a character who's gone through the loss of a child. You always see that kid's bedroom is kept a certain way with certain possessions and things like that. And we see that with Jeff, and he obsesses over that, basically the shrine of his now dead child, and the fact that he has to burn those possessions. Basically, it's a very metaphorical letting go of his son and having to deal with that. I mean, all of these tests, I feel like with all of these tests, you guys are gonna be this was dumb because XYZ.
No, this one's just boring.
Well, here's what
that's my. I mean, I get the kind of the emotional aspects of it, but I just don't think that this was an interesting trap.
I think that the main reason that they're not quite as interesting as the other ones is because of the tonal shift. I mean, everything is still dark and gritty and violent, but instead of here's a trap, get out, do something fucked up to get out of it, and prove that you want to live or whatever. It's more, this is the first movie where it's more like, hey, you decide if these people live or not. And so it's a tonal shift in what the movie is about, and it sort of makes it's like an adjustment period, I think.
I could get behind that. It's still, okay, I mean, I'm going to say that it's still kind of the same concepts, because all the tests that we see Jigsaw put people through is about dealing with character traits or vices that characters have, and in the case of Jeff, his desire for vengeance, and basically plunging into a spiraling pit of despair and alcoholism, dealing with the death of his child. It's just something he deals with. And so instead of it being the live or die concept being in the perpetrator's hands that we usually see, live or die is now in the aspect of Jeff, except Jeff pays no penalty for the most part.
Other than emotional trauma.
Yeah, other than emotional trauma, which is completely different for the most part than what we see. Because we didn't really touch on the emotional aspect of the other traps. Because, I mean, that's kind of a dark, gritty thing to think about, especially like in the case of the fly trap, having the guy, the emotional duress you'd have to go through to actually basically cut your face open to get the key. It's not something we really talked about. But in these tests where the concept is purely, for the most part, purely emotional, it's a little bit harder. It's not as gripping and visceral, I guess, which makes it, I can understand it being boring, but I don't think it's any less important.
Right. And I think it's good that the tone changes, because, 7 movies of 8 people in traps stabbing their own eyes out to get keys to unlock machines, that would have gotten boring really fast.
Is the best.
Is awesome.
I mean, I probably would have been bored with that by like movie 4. Whereas this tonal shift allows them to move on to other styles and trap types and things like that, and I think that's for the better for the series. I just think that this is the first one that sort of does that, and you've just I just came off watching 1 and 2 and went straight into 3, and I was like, what? This is weird.
Well, yeah, because this movie kind of sets the shift for the rest of the franchise. Mm-hmm. Because it has this person trying to figure out other traps, not being in traps themselves. Mm-hmm. Which is very kind of in tune with 2 of the next 3 movies. Mm-hmm. Or 2 of the next 4 movies. Mm-hmm. And this, it also sets up kind of the way that the movies are structured, which is it'll have a trap, then it'll have stuff going on in the outside world, then it'll have a trap, then stuff going on in the outside world. That's kind of the structure of these films now moving forward. Mm-hmm. Is kind of like trapped in something else. So Jeff saves the judge, and they go into the next room, which is the most epically fucked trap in the film. Mm-hmm. It has the guy who killed Jeff's son by accident strapped into a crucifix device that turns separately his arms, his legs, and his head 180 degrees. Mm. It's fucking gross.
Yeah. It's
Compound Fracture City.
This is the brutal, visceral, fucked up one.
Yeah. And Jeff has to get the key to save him by grabbing the keys out of this box that have a shotgun attached to the key. And if he does that, his arm will get shot by a shotgun.
Right.
Man, this is a really messed up trap.
The trap itself is messed up and it's gruesome and completely fucked. However, the true genius of this room, of this test, is the shotgun.
Because he saves the lawyer in the pit from the pig vat, and so the lawyer is with him, the judge. And the judge is with him, going, "You have to get the key! Oh my god!" and holding the gears to try and stop them from turning. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, could probably be stopped by, say, a metal chunk being wedged into the part where the gears meet.
You overanalyze these things, John.
I mean, yes, but that's because if I'm ever in a saw trap, I'm not dying.
I want to see him in a saw trap just so he dies.
Put him in the crucifix trap.
Well, that's not on me, so...
Actually, it's called the rack.
Yeah, that's true.
But, or the twisting crucifix, so shut up.
But yeah. So John mentioned the judge because the Jeff gets the key from the shotgun, and the shotgun goes off.
Right, he figures out how to get the key without killing himself.
Yes. Well, because when the judge looks at the key and kind of analyzes the box, it appears that the shotgun, basically to get the key, you'd basically pull the chain with the key to get the key, and that in turn would fire the gun. when it's actually the reverse. Letting go of the key and letting go of the tension on the string without the key actually allows the gun to fire. And there's a surprise bang because you think that Jeff gets away cleanly with the key, and the shotgun fires and
shoots the lawyer.
Just peppers the judge's side of his head. Just shreks him in the head.
So the guy in the trap dies.
Duh.
Because again, Jeff can't do anything with any sort of speed.
Slow is slow. Slow is slow.
Slow is slow.
And he dies. His legs go, and then his arms go, and then his head goes, and so it's just like Jeff standing there watching as the dude's head rotates all the way around, and his neck pops out.
Yeah. So Jeff goes into the final room, which is the Jigsaw room, where Jigsaw is.
Right, with Lynn.
And Amanda.
Right.
And so while all this is going on with Jeff, Lynn has to cut Jigsaw's head open and do emergency brain surgery to remove pressure on his skull.
The medical stuff in this movie bothers me more than the traps do.
What do you mean,
when she's when the traps are going on, I just sort of sit there and watch and go, oh man, that's fucked. But when the medical stuff is happening, when she takes that fucking bone saw and just drills into his skull, as I'm watching that, or even when she's just peeling his skin back, that shit made me shiver and go ugh, because just even a tiny little bit of fuck up and you drive a bone saw through the dude's brain, and I don't know, medical stuff freaks me out more than these traps do, because these traps are, hey, here's how you get out of it, whereas the medical stuff is, okay, so I'm gonna do this thing with your head.
And she does succeed though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, but it's riddled with things like, all right, John, you're gonna feel some pressure, or I need you to clamp your jaw shut. You're gonna hear a lot of ringing, but don't move.
Yeah.
And she's constantly checking to make sure he's alive because of the whole he dies, she dies thing.
Yeah, because it's a local anesthetic.
I don't even think she's using any anesthetic.
Yeah, she gives him a local anesthetic because Amanda goes, "You're not gonna put him under," and she's like, "No, with this sort of thing, the patient has to be awake so that they don't freak the fuck out or roll over."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fucking Jigsaw's laying there on his side as she cuts a portion of his skull off, and he's just like, "Yep, I'm good."
So this is kind of, again, where the twist of the movie happens in this last scene with Jigsaw. So it turns out that Jigsaw knew that Amanda was making inescapable traps, and that this whole thing with Jeff was actually her test to see if she could keep Lynn alive.
Right.
And Jigsaw tells her, remove the collar. And she doesn't. She refuses to.
Because she thinks that Amanda has she thinks that Lynn has some sort of power over her that's not discussed until a later movie.
Right. And so it turns out that this whole thing has been for Amanda, and that this has just been one big test for Amanda, because Jigsaw wants to see if Amanda really is kind of breaking his code. And Amanda shoots Lynn in the back as Jeff is coming through, and Jeff shoots her in the neck, killing her. And Jigsaw, as she's dying, is telling her, this was your test all along.
Mm-hmm.
This is always for you. And then Jeff is given the chance to forgive Jigsaw,
who can get an ambulance to the location in 4 seconds or some crazy shit.
Right. And save Jeff's wife who's been shot, or Jeff can exact his revenge on Jigsaw.
For putting him through all the traps.
Yeah. And Jeff's like, I forgive you, I forgive you, I forgive you. And then he picks up a circular saw and kills Jigsaw. And that's kind of the twist, is that this was all Amanda's test. What'd you guys think of the twist in this one?
I thought it all culminated into a kind of a decent finale, because this is basically basically the last section of the film, and I thought it all pieced together really well, and it sets up some of the things we're going to see in the 4th and 5th films. So I think this creates a good bridge point between 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. I dug this film. I liked it a lot, mostly because I personally really enjoyed the emotional stress that we saw in the film, because this film really deals more on the emotional duress of Jeff and other individuals. So yeah, That's what I thought about it.
You like the twist then?
Yeah, no, yeah, I really do, yeah.
What about you, John?
I liked the twist. I mean, I kind of sort of saw it coming a little bit. Jigsaw says a couple things that I don't remember what exactly, but I remember him saying a few lines earlier in the film and me going, "Oh, Amanda's gonna get Shrek'd." But overall, I think the twist still worked well. I think it was good. I kind of am disappointed with Jeff and what he does in the twist. I mean, your wife is sitting there bleeding out, begging for your help, and Jigsaw's like, "Hey, I can get an ambulance here, like, right away, and I don't even care that you killed my apprentice." And the guy is like, he says the words, "I forgive you," and instead of just letting Jigsaw call an ambulance and then killing him, he just...
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer because you would hope that Jeff, after basically witnessing 3 people die because he doesn't learn his lesson about vengeance, you think by that 4th time he might be able to learn the lesson and just deal with it.
Especially when the stakes for not forgiving them aren't the person
His
you
wife.
don't like dying. It's, hey,
Oh, yeah.
your wife will die.
Well, and I will say that I don't think Jeff knew that the collar was linked to Jigsaw's survival.
No, but he knew that his wife had a gunshot and he didn't know where he was.
Well, yeah, I get all of that, but I think Jeff would have reacted differently had he known that Jigsaw's heart rate and the collar were linked.
Right.
Well, that's the point.
Well, yeah, I get that, but
To be fair, that trap going off is awesome.
oh no, it's great.
I
It's
mean,
probably-
it just turns her whole head,
It is-
into like a fucking 5 pounds of ground beef.
Besides the rack, it's probably it's definitely one of the more gruesome things we see in the whole franchise.
Especially considering how she gets to say Jeff as she's dying.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Jeff,
Oh yeah.
no.
Oh yeah.
Sprayed all over the wall.
Mhm.
And how Jeff Jeff loses it, so he just sits down next to her and kisses her bloody hand. He's like, "It's gonna be okay. We'll get out of here, etc." He just loses his mind.
Yeah, and then Jigsaw plays that last tape. And as he's bleeding out, he hits the play button on a tape. And it's like, "Oh, by the way, Jeff, you really should have forgave me, because now not only is your wife dead, but also your daughter is locked somewhere in this building, and I'm the only person that knows where, and she doesn't have an air supply, so suck a dick, Jeff, you killed me."
Yeah.
Oh, and all the doors lock. So
Yeah, right, because bracing doors open is dumb.
Again, John, they're under duress.
Yeah, but every door Jeff walks through has locked behind him as soon as he does anything.
Hey, man.
And they're just like, "Oh, I guess putting a fucking stick here would be a bad idea."
I can agree with John with your kind of sentiment towards the stupidity of the characters to some extent with the whole door thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of obnoxious. So
I wish that they would have just put in a couple scenes of these characters bracing doors and then
having
the doors
the
breaking.
thing snap.
Yes,
Right.
because as we move through and we learn more about Jigsaw, I mean, we learn that he's a savant engineer, and he makes comments to other people about "Oh, your device there was shitty because you used these materials." So it would have made the films even more solid than they already are if they'd included scenes where characters did smart shit and then just failed.
right.
I'm going to be smart and get around this dickhead's trap. And then, oh, guess what? No, you're not.
And we haven't even talked about there are a couple kind of smaller events in this movie that are important for the later films. So at one point, Amanda finds a letter that she goes apeshit after reading it.
Mm-hmm. That's what drives her to shoot Lynn, is finding that note.
Right. Donnie Wahlberg's character from the last film, Eric Matthews,
So badass.
gets he actually breaks his foot with the toilet tank cover.
Right, because when Amanda kidnaps him, when Jigsaw, I don't know, when whoever kidnaps him, they put that shackle on him the same way that Cary Elwes and always forget his name,
Lee Wannell.
something.
Lee Wannell.
Yeah, the way that they are, and so in the scene that he's in, he takes the hacksaw and goes to cut himself, and then he's like, "No, I can't do it. Fuck it," and he throws the hacksaw away. But then he takes the toilet tank lid that killed fucking Zepp, and he just smashes it down on his ankle and foot to break all the bones in his foot so that he can pull his foot through the shackle instead of fucking cutting it off.
Which is really gross.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, those are my favorite things, is when somebody's not supposed to be able to get out and they still do because of badassness.
Yeah.
Like, those are the best. I like the whole, here's a trap, if you do something that's difficult, you get out this way. But I think it's better when the murderers are like, hey, fuck you, you're dead. And the people are just like, fuck no, I'm not.
Oh, shit. Yeah, so he, like, beats the shit out of Amanda, and then Amanda gets the better of him, and then you never see him again.
Yeah.
You assume that she kills him.
Amanda kicks his leg.
His, like, disgustingly busted leg.
Right, and it, like, tears his foot off anyway because she kicks it, and he just, like, falls over.
Yeah.
Oh, and Amanda killed Adam, the photographer, because there's this flashback where she goes back into the bathroom and, like, suffocates him.
Yeah. And along with everything else, you kind of meet sort of Costas Mandalore's character. Not really. He just kind of shows up. You meet Jigsaw's ex-wife, Jill Tuck, in a hallucination. And Dina Meyer's character dies.
Mm-hmm. In one of Allison's unsolvable traps.
Yeah. One of Amanda's traps that she can't... Yeah. I don't know. One of Amanda's traps that's inescapable.
And you get one shot of a little cassette tape covered in candle wax.
Yeah. Which doesn't have anything to do with anything until the next movie.
Okay, Costas Mandalore's bit in this movie, like, he literally just walks in at the very first trap with the guy who gets blown up because he can't tear the chains out of his body.
Yeah.
He picks up a little, like, chain hook, and he, like, looks at the other cops that are not looking at him, and then he pockets it, and it's just a little thing, but that really fucked up the later twists for me, not for this movie, but for, like, the next one.
Yeah.
Because that shot, I was like, oh, okay, I know what's going on with his character.
Yeah, see, I missed that.
Me too. Because I remember, because they flashback that later, and I caught that one, but I missed it in that original scene if they in fact showed that.
Yeah, because there's the two other cops, the Riggs and Dina Meyer, they're, like, standing framed up in the normal, like, conversational shot.
Mm-hmm.
And in between them, crouched down on the ground, so almost out of shot, and behind them, you see Costas Mandalore pick it up, look at them, and pocket the little hook.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but I mean, I believe that it happened, but you know, so that kind of all happens, and that doesn't really have much to do with this movie. It's kind of sowing the seeds for later films.
Right, it introduces the other cops.
Yeah. So Swan, final thoughts, best performance, best trap.
I'm not going to say that this is my favorite film of the franchise. It definitely deals with, I think, some stronger emotional topics that the other films don't, because the other films are overshadowed with really visual and visceral traps and death and gore. That being said, this is still a good movie in my opinion, and it is worth seeing if you're going to commit to watching the franchise. As far as favorite performance, I'm actually going to go with Angus McFadden. Is it Fadden? Angus
McFadden?
It's, yeah, McFadden. I'm going to go with Angus McFadden, mostly because he does, to me, he does a good job of going through those emotional tests, and his transformation from being, like, obsessed father of a dead child to fucking lost his mind cuddling with blown up wife is a really cool transformation, I think.
Even though it's totally his fault.
Yep.
Oh yeah, no, it's totally his fault. Like, I'm not trying to make him a victim at all, but his overall performance in that transition throughout the entire length of the film, I thought was great. As far as traps, I'm actually going to go with the angel trap, which is the ribcage harness that Allison Carey got Shrek'd with. It was the unwinnable trap that basically there's a bar that is spring-loaded, and like all of her ribs are connected to a piece. And the job of the trap is there's a key that is dissolving in acid, and she is supposed to reach in, live through the acid, grab the key before the key dissolves, unlock the harness, and she can get out. Well, it's one of Amanda's unwinnable traps, and Allison can't get out of the harness, and
even though she just gets the key.
Even though she gets the key, and she is just ripped open to the world.
After that cliche, it's you.
Oh, yeah. I totally missed that. I heard her say something, but I thought it was like an exclamation because she kind of, the final scene of her when she gets ripped open, she looks up at right before it just rips her open. Yes. And so I thought I missed the "it's you" thing, and I thought she just made an exclamation and looked up at the sky for whatever reason, and that was that. And then later there's a flashback to that where it revisits the "it's you," and I thought that was. But overall, I think that's my favorite trap in the whole movie.
What about you, John?
I think this is a good movie. It sort of changes the tone to where the franchise needs to be for the rest of the series. So it's important. It's an important part of the franchise. But this is the point where you have to have seen everything else to understand what's going on in this film. So if you're not planning on watching all of them, don't just pick up 3, you know? I mean, don't go to the movie store and be like, oh, you know what? Saw's supposed to be a good franchise. I'll get number 3 because it's the only one that's not checked out or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
Favorite trap? I think even though it's not, oh, well, I guess I can't say it because it's not on this page. I was going to say Donnie Wahlberg getting out of that fucking thing. I mean, that's just so brutal and badass and sort of independent of whatever the killer wanted, which doesn't happen often. I think if I have to pick one, I would go with the pig vat just because it's fucking gnarly. And like the fucking motor starts going and the pigs start getting pulled out and I'm like, oh god, no. And then they drop in there and get liquefied and start shooting in on top of him, and it was just nasty, and I knew it was gonna be nasty. And I pictured having it being in that trap and having the pig guts slowly like rise up around me, and then like as you're drowning in it, you're gonna eventually unwittingly open your mouth and try and breathe because that's what happens when you drown, and you'll swallow pig guts into your lungs. No. That whole thing was gross.
Sounds delicious.
Yes.
Best performance, I'm going to go with Lyric Bent. He plays Rig, and he's in the second movie. In the second film, he is, like, Donnie Wahlberg's friend, and he's like, we should just beat the shit out of him and get the information. And he's sort of a caricature, I feel like, in the second movie. But in the third movie, he's looking for Donnie Wahlberg, who he thinks might still be alive, and he's, like, at the scene when they find Dina Meyer's body, and he does a good job in the time he's given of sort of actually making himself a real character and a real person, because he becomes the focus of a movie later. And so I feel like it's important that they take this time, what little time there is of it, to actually make him not a caricature of the aggressive cop.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I think he does a good job of it to prepare for later movies.
Yeah, I totally forgot that he was even in this movie. So, I'm going to go with this movie's good, but like what you guys have said, you can't really watch this movie separate from the other ones at this point, kind of because of all the interworking pieces and parts. Best performance, I want to go with Tobin Bell so bad. I can't. I'm going to go with Costas Mandylor, just because he's going to show up again, and his character is pretty great.
Yeah, his character, as he becomes a thing, gets really awesome.
Yeah. Favorite trap, I'm going to go with the crucifix trap, because that trap's horrifying, especially like thinking about being in it as your like legs are turned 180, which is fucking disgusting and horrifying. So
the arms and legs I could kind of deal with, but the slow turn of the guy's head, ugh,
pretty great.
Fantastic.
All right, well, on to Saw 4, fourth movie in the franchise, directed by Darren Lynn Bousman. This one follows Agent Straum, as Agent Straum and Agent Perez try to figure out who the Jigsaw killer is. and track him down, along with find Detective Matthews. And along with that, it also follows kind of the character of Riggs from the last film, as he has to find Detective Matthews along with going through some traps set by Jigsaw. Swan, what do you think of this movie?
I thought, for being essentially the halfway point of the franchise, this was the last film I saw. I remember I also saw this when it came out. This was '08, and I still remember this being a good movie when it came out. And upon watching it again, I'm still fairly pleased with it. And we're at a point in the franchise where a lot of people started getting disenchanted with the franchise, which is kind of unfortunate because there's a lot of cool things and a lot of important things that are explored in this movie. Because the traps that you mentioned about that Riggs goes through, once again, we're not so much in the traps for a person. We're in a situation where someone is being tested or being exposed to ideas, and the ideas for them to change a character trait, but they themselves aren't necessarily in any real danger for the most part. And so it kind of builds on the same aspect that Jeff went through in the third film, whereas in the case of Riggs, instead of him, it's not about vengeance, it's the fact that he just can't let go. He feels that he has to save everybody. And the idea of, because I know people like this, they get caught up in trying to make right decisions to help people around them. They fail to make the right decisions to help themselves. And so I think that's a really cool concept that this film explores. And I believe also one of my other, like, besides the journey of Riggs, we're now at a point in the film where things start running kind of concurrently from past films. There's a lot of things that get pulled back, or situations from prior films start getting explored in depth. And I think a lot of those are really well written and really cool to explore.
What about you, John?
I like this movie. The sort of watching Riggs go through these things, I liked Jigsaw's reasoning in this better. Like, it's the first movie where we get to see him, like, a little bit of his history.
Because Jigsaw is dead.
Right. Jigsaw's dead, and so it's the first time we get to see his history. We get to see his motivations as he tries to explain himself to Riggs with the whole see what I see, feel what I feel, save as I save thing. It gets a lot more in-depth into the psyche of Jigsaw than the other films did. And I think that's good. Some of the traps are not great. The mausoleum trap, the knife chair, those aren't super cool, and they're actually kind of frustrating. But some of them are really awesome, and the twist at the end is also pretty cool, despite the fact that I saw it coming. So I think this movie is good, and I think, yeah, it's good.
I'm going to say that this is good as well. I can kind of see where people were starting to get disenfranchised with the franchise as a whole, because the bag of tricks that the movie is pulling from aren't exactly the most new or interesting at this point. The movie doesn't really have a deep bag of tricks, if that makes sense. It's kind of going back to old tricks, which is fine. I don't really like Riggs as a character very much. So that's kind of my big issue with this movie, is I wasn't too big on Riggs as a character. I felt he was slightly one-dimensional as a character. But, this movie, it has Costas Mandylor in a bigger part, not the biggest. He's still kind of a bit player because of what he's tasked with doing in this movie. So I think it's decent. I don't think it's the best. I would say that this, for me, is not, one of my favorites. But so the movie has two concurrent storylines. One is Riggs, who is, like, troubled by the death of Allison Carey, played by Dina Meyer in the last film. So he's just, like, slipping more and more into being, like, driven to figure out who Jigsaw is and, like, stop him.
Essentially, he's becoming Danny Glover from the first movie.
And he's just, like, obsessed, and he wants to find Eric Matthews so that Matthews doesn't die like Dina Meyer did. And he has this obsession again, like Danny Glover's character, that he needs to overcome. And in the film, he goes through his own set of tests to, like John said, kind of see feel what Jigsaw feels and whatnot. And I mean, the film opens with this mausoleum trap, which I think is just so stupid.
Yeah, I lied when I said that the shotgun collar was the dumbest one, because I forgot about this one. This is the dumbest one.
Why is that?
Okay, so it's two guys. You're talking about the mausoleum, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two guys in an abandoned mausoleum. One of them has his eyes sewn shut. This guy is huge, big, brute force dude. The other one has his mouth sewn shut so that he can't talk. And they have chains that are feeding into a sort of generator in the middle. And when they start the trap, because, again, it has a tripwire attached to a timer, and the big bald guy gets up and starts, like, moving around really quickly and pulls the timer cord, and the timer starts, and the engine starts, and it starts to pull the chains toward the grinder in the middle that will choke them, essentially, like pop their heads off because the chains are attached to their necks. And the guy with his mouth sewn shut sees that there are keys attached to the back of their necks. And so he sort of figures out, hey, we need to I have to kill this guy to get the key to unlock my thing. Because at first they're playing like tug of war with their chains through the thing. Eventually, they kill each other, which is a bullshit. I mean, the big dude is stronger, but he can't see, so he's fucked. So, clearly Jigsaw wanted him to die. And secondly, after the dude with his mouth sewn shut kills the big guy and unlocks himself, when he's out of danger, he opens his mouth, tearing the stitches out and screaming. And if that was a possible thing for him to do, why didn't he do it at the beginning and then talk the big bald dude through it and then save them both? I mean, he's not even in danger. There's no reason for him to go through that pain. He could just walk to the hospital and get the stitches cut. So it's literally just there to be like, oh, God, doesn't that look nasty? Right, audience?
I don't think that's right at all.
I agree with John.
No, because I don't.
Son.
This trap is designed in a fashion for them. It's supposed to force them to work together or kill each other. It ends up them killing each other because Jigsaw at this point it's established. I guess I don't remember if it's the third film or the fourth film that it becomes like this thing where if you can anticipate people. Well, we've already discussed it that Jigsaw has an ability to anticipate people's actions.
Right.
The point of this trap is for them to work together because it's not known. It's never established if the guy with his mouth sewed shut, if he has a key behind himself.
Well,
the only key we see is the one on the big guy. So yes, if the guy with his mouth sewn shut had forced his mouth open and talked the big guy through it, that would have worked. But he didn't do that, and the big guy assumed that the other guy was an enemy, and so he started attacking him. And so the smaller guy with his mouth sewn shut ended up using his sight to an advantage and wounding/killing the big guy and getting the key.
Yeah, but that doesn't make the trap less dumb.
Because of that, I don't think the trap is dumb.
And Jigsaw clearly wanted the fat guy to die because the fat guy, later on in a flashback, see the fat guy in his wife's fucking hospital thing being a dick to his wife.
People's past actions to this point for Jigsaw is irrelevant.
Clearly not, because he makes that sick dude's trap brutal. And he puts fucking Cecil in a trap specifically because of the shit that happens to his wife. And these two guys were both in the fucking clinic, and the big fat one was a dick, and that's why his eyes got sewn shut, so that he would be the one that died. Because Jigsaw is a psychopathic, sociopathic liar.
These traps are designed for people to discover things in themselves and learn from mistakes.
That might be what Jigsaw says because he's a sociopath.
Yes, but you brought up Cecil. Cecil only dies because he makes it through his trap and doesn't change. He doesn't learn anything from it. It's just him being a psycho drug guy is essentially what that is. And so,
if the point of the trap is, hey, if you can get out of this trap, you prove that you live, and then the guy gets out of the trap and then Jigsaw kills him anyway, it's not because he didn't change.
Jigsaw didn't kill him.
Jigsaw wants... How did he die?
He lunged at Jigsaw juked, and the guy fell into a vat of razor wire.
Right.
I mean, that is what happened.
You're right, I know it's what happened, but guess what? Jigsaw set that shit up because he knew it would happen. Jigsaw wants these people to die.
Except Jigsaw gives them the opportunity to not have their fates be the way that they are.
That's a convenient thing so that Jigsaw can go to sleep and say that I've never killed anyone, because he says that.
You say it's convenient because of the way it works out throughout the film, because that's the premise of the film. It's an established motive of how that character operates, and it never wavers for Jigsaw. It would be one thing if Jigsaw created an unbreakable or unbeatable trap like Amanda. Jigsaw doesn't.
Right, okay, but we know that Jigsaw is so good at predicting human behavior that he knew where they were going to go in the house, and he knew what was going to happen at the mausoleum. So if he knows what's going to happen because he's a student of human behavior, then he knows what's going to happen when he puts these people in these traps, and that's why some of them get really shitty traps, and some of them don't, because Jigsaw wants the people involved in his wife's miscarriage, which we haven't talked about. I just fucked that up a little bit. He wants those people to die.
I don't know.
Just like the sick guy from the first movie, he wanted that sick guy to die. That's why he put him in a fucked up trap, because it pissed Jigsaw off that the guy was pretending to be sick when he wasn't.
Except Jigsaw makes the admission that he despises murder.
Right, because he's making himself feel better. Dude, it's classic sociopathic behavior. You justify your actions to yourself to make yourself seem like a goddamn hero to the people.
He's not trying to make himself seem a hero to the people, though.
He totally is. He's saving them from themselves. That's totally
to individuals,
trying to make yourself a hero to the people.
Yes.
Right.
He's not even trying to make them the hero. He's trying to give people tools to make significant change.
Yeah, because Amanda doesn't go off and think that he's a fucking savior or anything. I'm just saying, some of these traps are a little one-sided to be totally, absolutely non-emotional.
I'm of the opinion that the majority of all the traps that Jigsaw designs are predominantly fair. It's just shitty luck on the people that are in them. The fact that they can't, that those characters in themselves are so one-dimensional that they can't.
No, I'm kind of on the fence with you guys. I mean, I can see where John's coming from, but I can also see where Swan is coming from.
I think it should be that way. I'm actually, I would not want this discussion to be 2-on-1 in any form or fashion.
Right.
Because I think that can get kind of shitty.
Right. I mean, this is essentially the meaning of the film and the series. And Swan and I see different meanings in the series and the way that the stuff is set up. And that's probably a good thing. It probably speaks to the quality of the franchise as a whole.
As to whether or not Jigsaw is actually doing things of substantial value or not.
Right. I mean, it sort of makes you question whether or not any of this stuff is worth it. I mean, later he makes a pedophile voyeur rapist essentially like stab his eyes out and die. And, you know, there's that whole thing. It's the same thing that you see when you watch, like, a Punisher movie. It's like, yeah, murder is fucked up, but also those guys are really shitty people, you know?
Okay, yeah, but you bring up Punisher, but in Punisher, like, he straight up, like, vigilante murders people.
Yeah, he does, and I don't think that the Punisher is not a psychopath. I just think it's awesome to watch.
Well, yeah. And I mean, I'm totally okay with making the statement that Jigsaw is a sociopath. That's, like, without a doubt a thing. But there are plenty of sociopathic people in the world that aren't, like, serial killer, making people vanish type shit. And I think that's kind of the romantic appeal of Jigsaw, I guess, and, like, a higher level intellectual thing. Is the fact that he is literally not making choices for people. The only thing he is doing is putting people in the situation and then forcing them to make a choice.
Right, and stacking the situation.
It's not necessarily stacked.
Well, it is if he knows what they're going to do.
Well,
I mean, if you said, hey, here's 2 buttons, one kills you and one doesn't, guess which one it is, that's a choice that leads to their death. But saying, hey, this is one button that I know you really want to push because it's red and you hate the color red, whereas this button is green and the color green doesn't actively piss you off. If you hit the red, pick one.
Yeah, but if you listen to the tapes, every tape is catered to the individual. It's like you've lived a life of this vice, so now you have to face that vice. Can you beat yourself and survive, or will you succumb and die? For the most part, because of the way Jigsaw lays out his traps, the traps themselves are amazingly 50-50, actually.
Well, not the one with the dude with his eyes sewn shut fighting the guy with his mouth sewn shut.
even then, I think that one's still 50-50. It's just the guy with vision gets the drop because he can fucking see.
Right, which makes it not 50-50.
No, but that's the point. The point of the trap is for them to work together, not for one of them to die.
Right, okay, but how would they work together without the dude with his mouth sewn shut tearing his mouth open?
Well, the fact
which he does later.
Right, he does after he kills the guy.
Well, yeah, when he has a moment, the guy with his eyes shown shut.
What do you think they should
freaks
have said?
The fuck out.
What?
There's not a good way to argue this one because it's the dichotomy of one can see, one can't see, one can speak, one can't speak.
And because Jigsaw wanted the fat guy dead.
You're just a one-dimensional jackass.
To be fair, they never said that they did or didn't, so John is just kind of, supposing.
Yeah.
Right, I'm reading into subtext, and Swan is not.
No, I'm reading in the subtext. Like, I understand that the larger, brawnier dude was involved in that shit. But at the same time, the guy with his mouth sewed shut was involved in some shady dealings with Jill Tuck and Jigsaw as well.
Yeah, but he wasn't a dick to them. He just was there at the clinic. The big fat guy actively yelled at his wife.
Yeah, but so did Cecil.
Well, yeah,
but Cecil probably did worse than the bigger guy.
Yeah, and that's why Cecil got lured into leaping at Jigsaw and falling into barbed wire. Because that was a total setup, too. Because Jigsaw knows how human beings work and knows how Cecil works and knows that after he forces his way through that trap, he's going to want revenge. And so Jigsaw stands there right in front of the barbed wire trap so that Cecil can't see it. And then when Cecil gets out of the chair and lunges, Jigsaw goes, "Oop! Aha! You shouldn't have been a dick. You died because you're a bad person, not because I killed you."
That's some bullshit. Because the razor wire trap was much larger than Jigsaw. There's no way Cecil didn't see it.
Well, he's focusing on the knives and the dude who put him in a knife chair.
Well, I get that. I understand that, but there's no way that he didn't see it.
Right, but it's absolutely misdirection on the part of Jigsaw. And then when the guy falls into the barbed wire and gets tangled up, it's like, haha, you shouldn't have been a bad person, and now you're dead, and I totally didn't kill you, and it's totally not all set up for me to have the guy that caused my wife's, whatever the word is. Miscarriage. The guy, I totally didn't set this whole thing up to kill the guy that caused my wife's miscarriage. I'm 50-50 fair balanced.
Cecil still had a choice. He didn't have to lunge.
Right, and what I'm saying is...
I understand what you're saying.
Right. He still had a choice, but Jigsaw knew what choice he was going to make.
Using Jigsaw's logic, yes.
Right, so Jigsaw knew what would happen and that Cecil would die. And
Jesus, we haven't even gotten into the movie yet.
I know.
I'm not going to give up the aspect that, to me, Jigsaw's not a murderer. I'm not going to give that up. There's literally nothing John can say to sway that opinion.
So I guess let's go on to talk about the movie.
Holy shit. Okay, so, again, the concurrent storylines in this movie are Riggs trying to find Matthews, and then Straum trying to find...
Riggs.
Yeah. Again, I don't like Riggs, but I think that some of the traps that he has to... Some of the tests that he has in the movie are interesting.
I agree. I think there's a cool, choice thing going on. Like a justice theme.
And I actually like these tests actually a lot more than Jeff's tests.
Yeah, me too. Because, so the first one, the hair trap, right?
Yeah.
It's this chick is in Riggs's house, strapped into a mechanical chair with her long blonde hair in a ponytail, sort of woven through the gears of this machine. And when Riggs walks in, I want to say it's a tripwire again that activates the machine.
Something.
And he activates the machine, and the gear starts spinning, and it starts to pull her ponytail. And the point is that it's supposed to scalp her and tear her head off.
Yeah.
And so he goes through a bunch of stuff to try and save her, and the whole time Jigsaw's voice is like, "Oh, she's a prostitute. She should probably be punished anyway. You don't have to save her. She's not a good person," right? And so it's sort of like this. It's the very beginning of this justice theme, and it's a little light you know, most people probably wouldn't say that being a hooker makes you deserve death.
Yeah.
But the reason why the trap is cool is because Riggs eventually just fucking shoots the gears, and finally somebody attacks the machine.
After half of her head is like already
right. Her like scalp is starting to come off, and he finally shoots the machine, and the machine stops, and so he like gets her hair out. He like cuts her hair, and he says, "I'm gonna go get some medicine or some shit like that, like to take care of her and like call the police." And
no, it was literally like, "Stay here. The cops will be here. Don't move. I'm going to move on. I have to leave. I have to keep going."
Oh, right.
He wasn't gonna come back for her.
Right. So
no, I mean, he went to get medical stuff to like take care of her,
and then he was going to leave.
I don't even remember that at all.
Because when he goes to get medical stuff, she plays a tape of her own that says, "Hey, there's a knife under the television cabinet. If this cop frees you, you have to kill him, or I'll end you." Or I forget what the consequence is.
It's she either lets him save her life
and goes to
she
jail.
rots in jail.
Right.
Or she kills him and no one ever has to know.
Right. And so she, being a shitty person as opposed to Riggs being a good person, takes the knife and tries to kill Riggs. And it sort of emphasizes maybe some people do deserve death because they're really shitty and willing to kill people who literally just saved their life from getting their skulls torn off.
Yeah.
And so it starts this theme that goes through the whole movie that maybe some of these people are shitty enough that we shouldn't be rooting for them to get out.
Yeah. And so Riggs kills her.
Right, by tearing her head off.
Yeah.
He like grabs what's left of her hair and finishes scalping her and then slams her into like a mirror or something.
And so after that, it shows Straum and Agent Perez kind of coming to Riggs's house and figuring out kind of, you know, where he's going, and they realize that he's probably part of a Jigsaw trap. And then while this is all going on, Riggs goes to a hotel to find a fat guy who's like a pedophile. A pedophile?
Yes, well, he's a pedophile voyeur rapist.
Yeah.
He's like all three of those things. He's really fucked up.
And Riggs puts him in a trap where he's chained to a bed, and he has to puncture his own eyes to get out of the trap before the trap essentially the chains pull him in like 8 different directions.
To be fair, he doesn't have to puncture his own eyes. He has to push buttons, and then after he pushes the buttons, the machines will do it.
Right, but I mean, same difference.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is his action that does it, but it's not like once he does it, there's no immediate pain. So it's not like the guy having to cut the key out of his eye, where he has to do it himself and cut across the scar and dig it out. It's just like, click, done.
Right.
And then you can't stop it after the fact because you've already decided to do it.
Right.
So there's no backing out. He just never does it to begin with.
Yeah. Well, no, he does one eye.
That's to me, just this guy himself is dumb, because if you're going to do one...
Do them both.
Yeah, just do them both at the same time. If you can do one, you should have just done both at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But instead, the guy quits and gets shreked.
Yeah, he stabs
He gets pulled apart.
And then...
Drawn and quartered.
And so Riggs leaves to go to his next trap, and Straum and Perez come in, and they find this guy's dead body in like pieces all over the place. Mm-hmm. And all the while this is going on, Jigsaw says, "Look, like if you just stop, everything will be fine." And Riggs just ignores him because he's got to find Detective Matthews. Mm-hmm. And unbeknownst to Riggs, Detective Matthews is in a trap with Costas Mandylor. On a seesaw that has Detective Matthews on one end standing on a block of ice chained to the ceiling
with a noose
and an iron boot on his foot.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other end it has Detective Matthews in a chair, or Detective Hoffman in a chair, Hoffman played by Costas Mandylor. And if the ice melts too much, or when the ice melts too much, the water is going to zap Detective Hoffman and kill him. And Matthews will hang. All the while, there's like a third guy in the room who's from the beginning of the movie in the trap that they went on and on about for like 20 minutes. The guy who cuts his mouth open to survive. So there's that kind of this like third storyline as well. So Riggs finds this spike trap, which has two people pinned to the same thing. Are they pinned? They're pinned through one another.
Right. They're tied to a post back to back, and then the bars are shoved through the woman into the husband.
Right. And the man is like a abusive husband, and the woman just can't do anything about it.
Right. She's the sort of weak, battered woman type character.
Yeah. And so Riggs has to choose which one to save, because if he pulls the spikes out of one, it'll kill the other. Right? That's how it works?
No, one of them's already there. I felt like the husband was already dead because the wife was already tearing him out.
Well, yes, there's kind of like a flashback thing that goes back because it describes the trap.
Right.
Basically, what happened in that trap was the abusive husband was stabbed through like major arteries in his body, so like femoral and all the arteries that come out of the heart and things like that. Mm-hmm. So when they're removed, he's just going to bleed out extraordinarily quickly. Mm-hmm. His wife, on the other side, is punctured, but not through main arteries. So she's going to bleed, but she won't die if she hurries. So the point is, she either kills her husband and lives, or
so yeah, Riggs doesn't do anything in this one.
Right, he just watches as the chick does stuff.
Yeah, well, when Riggs gets there, all of the posts or bars are pulled out except one. There's one left, and so basically, it's the test for the woman is either kill her husband and live, or do nothing and die with her husband. She ends up choosing life, but she's stuck with one left. She basically is just not strong enough to get the last one out. So I believe Riggs kind of, I guess in the director's cut, he does. It shows Riggs actually helping her a little bit, but Riggs basically leaves her there with his jacket and says, "Save yourself."
And he hands her the key that unlocks her.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was like Riggs had to decide if she learned her lesson or not, because all of these tests for Riggs are about Riggs learning what Jigsaw goes through when he's putting people in traps and dealing with these, I guess, criminal or quasi-evil people. And so Riggs is trying to learn how, because it's like everything has a name. So like one is called like feel what I feel, save as I save, see what I see, those kinds of things. And it's putting Riggs in the perspective of Jigsaw. And that's what I really like about this movie actually, no, that is the one thing that I like the most about this movie is someone not Jigsaw, someone who hasn't gone through that stuff. Because it's not like Amanda who's gotten out of a trap. It's random Joe cop who has a vice, his incessant need to save everybody around him, and him being in Jigsaw's place and having to make choices.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't like Riggs as a character is all. So
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I can definitely understand that, because there's really not a lot of development that goes into his character. He's essentially very one-dimensional because of his vice.
Yeah. Right. It is very, this is my obsession, nothing else matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Riggs, as he's leaving the crime scene of this spike trap, pulls a fire alarm to let the cops know where it is, and he runs off because he finds like a clue in the wall. And he goes to this meatpacking plant where Detective Matthews and Hoffman are at.
Should we talk about Perez and Strahm first?
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. And during this, Strahm and Perez go find... yeah, Strahm. They find the spike trap, and like a bunch of cops are in there, and somehow the trap gets set off by accident.
I thought it was just like Jigsaw being like, fuck you cops. Because like, it is like the steel gun gets set off by accident and shoots a rod through one of the cops' heads.
Yeah, and just like kills him dead. And so Strahm and Perez are kind of searching through this school, and they come upon this door, and they go inside, and there's the little Billy doll, the little Jigsaw doll that everybody knows what it looks like, and it starts talking, and it tells Perez that her next move is critical, and that her partner Strahm is going to kill an innocent man. And instead of like turning around and walking away, Perez looks in closer to the doll, and the doll explodes, shooting shrapnel into her face, which is just like fucked up.
Right. And she gets incapacitated and taken off.
Right. And so now it's just Straum trying to find Jigsaw. So the kind of the end of the film, there's Riggs is going through this building where Hoffman and Matthews are, and the guy in the room from the beginning of the movie is like, if he doesn't, if we last 90 minutes, we can get out of here, no problem. But
he doesn't really say that.
Right.
He just is like, hey, don't kill yourself. Just wait. Hang on. I hope your friend doesn't come through the door. God, he really shouldn't come through. Oh, no. And then he's like, here, this button will release us after when the clock runs out, and it's like 4 seconds left. So
right.
at no point does
he doesn't make the admission that Matthew's friend shouldn't come through the door until the ice block trap is revealed.
Right. At no point does he go, hey, if we can get this shit to stop if we can wait here for 90 minutes, we'll all be free.
Yeah, at the beginning of the Matthews, Hoffman, Art Blank interactions, it's literally like Art making sure that Matthews doesn't kill himself because Riggs needs to have his final test, and then the ice block trap is revealed, which is essentially 2 huge blocks of ice on swing arms that are winched to the door, to the front door of this room.
And if the door opens, they'll slam down and blow up Matthew's head.
Mm-hmm.
Blow up is a really good way to put it.
Yeah. So Riggs comes through the door with 1 second left.
As Matthews shoots him
in the stomach.
Right.
Stop him from coming through the door.
Right. He's like...
And he still breaks through the door with 1 second left. Because, of course.
Right.
And then the 2 blocks of ice swing down.
And have a nice day, Matthews. You're dead.
And
then
your
head explodes.
Right, and then Riggs shoots the other guy, Art, because he thinks Art is the one responsible. And the whole time Art is like, no, he's testing you! Don't kill me! He's testing you! And then...
Yep. And then Hoffman gets up and he caps Riggs, right?
Yeah.
Finally? Yeah.
Because the big twist of this movie is Hoffman is the 3rd Jigsaw killer.
Right.
The Jigsaw apprentice.
Mm-hmm. And he's had a role in the whole thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
This ice block trap, though, it's like the moment Matthew's head literally explodes is probably one of the most shockingly gory things you see up till this point.
Yeah.
The shotgun collar is fairly close because you actually get to see the aftermath of her head, but the actual image of his head literally exploding.
Oh yeah.
It's almost like a frag grenade is in his mouth. And
it's like Peter Gallagher hitting a watermelon with a sledgehammer. Just kind of blows up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about the twist? Well, I guess there's a secondary twist too at the end of this movie. It turns out that this movie is actually happening concurrent to Saw 3.
Right, and the building that Riggs and Matthews and Hoffman and Art are all in is the same building in which Jeff is or was of just a short while before the time and events of Saw 4. It's the same building where Jeff was dealing with all of his tests.
This movie is wrapping up at the same time Saw 3 is wrapping.
Yeah, it is all literally concurrently because there are scenes because Straum enters this building searching for Riggs, and they do a flashback cutback scene of when Jeff hits that light with a gun, and it catches Straum's attention, and Straum turns around and follows Jeff.
Right,
because that's what pulls Straum off of Riggs's tracks. And that's what sets up Straum's thing, because that's another goofy twist.
The best trap?
The best trap and best escape.
Yeah, that is by far.
Well, yeah, but we're not there yet.
Right,
guys.
that's the next movie.
No, I'm with
right?
you.
Yeah. So Straum comes in and sees Jeff standing over Jigsaw's dead body, and he kills him.
Right, he shoots Jeff.
Killing an innocent man.
Right, which is...
what Jigsaw said was going to happen.
Right. In the tape to Perez and Straum, he was like, your partner's about to shoot an innocent man.
In Straum's defense, though, Jeff did raise a weapon at Straum.
Right, Jeff turned around and lifted that fucking saw. Because
he had a gun at that point.
Oh,
yeah, he did have a gun.
Oh, yeah.
He had Amanda's gun.
Mm-hmm.
And it did look like he was, a psychopath.
No, man. At that point, Jeff was fucking nuts.
Right.
And then Hoffman, Costas Mandylor, closes the door on Straum, locking him in that room.
Mm-hmm.
And then it cuts back to the beginning of the movie at bookends with Hoffman finding the tape that Jigsaw had swallowed in the previous movie, and saying, "You're not the last man standing. You will be tested.
You think you're in control."
The games have just begun.
Because that's actually how this movie starts. The movie starts in the morgue, right?
It starts with the autopsy
and then it wraps back up at the end with the same thing.
Yeah. Essentially, Saw 4 starts right at the end of Saw 3.
But it goes back through Saw 3.
Yeah, but then as the tape starts playing, time goes back, and we see another set of events, and then we're all caught up at the ending of the tape with Costas Manulor still back in the morgue.
Right.
Which I thought was really cool. My biggest praise, I guess I have like two really big praises for the franchise as a whole now that we're approaching the last half or the backside of the franchise, is the overall attention to detail on story points and the actual editing and scene transitions, no matter if you're going forward, progressing through the timeline, or if you're cutting back to review something. All of the cuts, all the edits, and all the attention to detail and story points are pretty fucking good, especially for a movie that encompasses so much material.
Yeah.
There really, as far as I know, hasn't really been anything like this in film. At least for like feature-length film.
Yeah.
I don't know of another franchise that goes.
No, this franchise kind of sets the bar for interconnectivity and
Yeah.
Yeah. So Swan, best performance, best trap, and final thoughts.
Well, I guess I just gave my final thoughts. I guess I'll just leave it at that. Best trap. I
surprised you're not going with the ice block trap.
I really want to, but I feel like that's like a uber gimme because that is spectacular.
Then pick it.
No, because no. I actually want to go with the spike trap. The
married couple?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the married couple.
Right.
What about best performance?
Best performance? Fuck. I'm going to go with Lyric Bent just because of how he progresses through his tests. Because as he gets to, especially that second test with Ivan, the pedophile voyeur rapist, you really see him start to empathize to a degree and relate to Jigsaw. And I think despite how one-dimensional his character is and how just overall lame the character is, Bent does do a good job of relaying that concept of him connecting with Jigsaw on a certain level, despite the fact that he can't learn the lesson. So I'm gonna go with Lyric Bent.
What about you, John?
I think overall this is a good movie. It might not be one of the strongest, or I guess it might be the worst one. But it's still...
Wait, worst of the Saw franchise?
Yeah, it might be the worst of the Saw franchise for me, but it's still... some of the traps in this movie are not great. But I think overall it's still an entertaining movie. I think best performance, I'm going to go with Donnie Wahlberg again, because he doesn't have a huge role in this movie, but his character has like a noose around his neck, right? And he's like dangling there, and at one point he just says like "fuck you" and like jumps off the ice block to hang himself. And the whole time I've been watching these movies, I've been like, if I didn't think I could get out alive, I would just kill myself prematurely to fucking cheat Jigsaw out of his, like...
Justice Jollies?
Right. And that's sort of what Donnie Wahlberg does, is he, like, hops off the thing and tries to, like, choke himself. And fucking Art has to pick him up and put him back on the ice block and explain that if he dies, so does Costas Mandalore. Well, he doesn't... At that point, he doesn't say, "I will also die." He's just like, "Hey, man, your cop buddy will also get electrocuted."
Right.
And I just thought that one action, again, I love it when only a couple, very rarely do any of these characters, like, actually do something intelligent or badass. Most of it is them being dumb or pussy and dying. Whereas, Donnie Wahlberg and Scott Patterson as Agent Strom, those are some of the few characters in the movie that see what needs to be done or what, like, just fuck you, Jigsaw, and do it, you know?
Yeah.
And I always find that entertaining. He was standing on the block of ice, and I said, man, I would just jump off that block. And then he fucking did it. And I was like, oh, yeah! Go Donnie Wahlberg! For favorite trap, I think I'm gonna have to go with the hair trap with the hooker. Because I feel like that's probably one of the better examples of the, hey, maybe not everybody should be getting out of here, like I already talked about at length. But yeah, that's my favorite trap in this movie. I'm
going to say this one's probably up there with the worst of the series. I just didn't like it very much because of Rig. Best trap, I'm going to go with the pincer trap that's on the back of Art's neck that we never actually get to see, but I can only imagine as to what it is.
Just like paralyzes him or something.
Yeah. And best performance, I'm going to go with Agent Straum, Scott Peterson. It's because I think he's actually pretty interesting as a character.
Scott Patterson?
Yeah, Patterson.
Why do you keep calling him Straum?
Because that's his character's name.
There's no U in his name. It's Strom.
No, Jigsaw calls him Straum.
Yeah, he does. He says Agent
over
Straum.
and over again.
Hello, Agent
Straum.
Everyone
else says Strom, except for Jigsaw.
Hello, Agent Straum. Shall we play a game?
Strahm.
I know.
Strom. But anywho, John got to interview Athena Karkanis, so we'll play that interview, and then we'll move on to Saw 5.
Had you seen the films before you went into audition for the part of Agent Perez?
I hadn't seen them before I got the auditions, but once I did, we did a marathon of Saw movies, which resulted in like a lot of nightmares. I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, I must admit. So yes, I did see them, but only just barely, and right before going into audition.
What was the audition process like?
I'd actually gone in for another part. I'm trying to remember because it was a while ago now. But I'd actually gone in for a different part, and when I was in there, Darren said, you know, you'd be perfect for the part of Perez, and they gave me some different sides and said, like, go outside, study these, and come back in and do it. So I did that, which is, I mean, it's kind of, like, it's great in one sense when somebody's saying, oh, let's give you a shot at a bigger part. But on the other hand, it's very nerve-wracking because you don't have the preparation time that you would, you know, if you knew that you were going in for that part in the first place. So I remember being really nervous about that. And then I went back in and did it, and I felt awful about it. And I remember calling my agent afterwards saying, like, here's what happened. And I was like, can you call casting and say, you know, I'll put myself on tape. I just didn't feel like I was prepared enough. Like, I'd love another shot at it. And she was like, sure, yeah, I'll call her and say that. And so she called casting, called me back. I think I got on the subway or something like that. And then by the time I was out of the subway, there was a message from my agent saying, no need to retape. They loved you. You're the first choice or whatever. So it was one of those, and my agent and I always have this joke that when I think I've done really badly, I always end up booking the job. So, so that was just another one of those incidences.
How often do you usually take to prepare for an audition like that?
You know, it really depends. Sometimes I put a lot of work into them and sometimes not. I mean, you know, it depends on the part. It depends on what else is going on in my life at that time. And some things you get them and you're like, oh, I know exactly what this is. I can, you know, I can do this pretty easily. I also am very lucky that I memorize things really quickly. So I don't have to spend a lot of time learning lines. But generally I like to have more than 5 to 10 minutes.
Right. After you got the role of Agent Perez, did you prepare in any specific way for the federal agent part, or did you just do like a normal?
Yeah, I did a little bit. I did a bit of kind of research into that and what that entailed, and Scott and I met a few times and kind of talked about what our relationship as partners would be. But I mean, like, for me, I think that character was more that she was a person and less about her being a federal agent. You know what I mean? Like, federal agents are still people. So it was kind of more about who she was as a person and, you know, being sort of like the rookie with this partnered with this senior guy and on this big case, and, you know, like, kind of those sort of nuances and stuff is kind of what I focused more on.
Right. And when they gave you the part, did they know, because I don't know what the filming timetable was like for the whole series, did they know that you were going to come back in 6 when they gave you the part, or did they ask you to come back later?
I think when they gave me the part, they thought it was going to be 4 and 5. And then, even while we were shooting 4, we didn't know, they weren't sure, and I wasn't sure how it was going to end, if I was going to die at the end of 4, or if it was just going to be like, oh, something terrible happened to her. And then I think the whole surprise of me coming back in 6, they thought of later. But they did, when I booked the job, they did say that it would possibly be a 2-picture deal, but I think they were planning on it being 4 and 5, not 4 and 6.
Gotcha. And in 6, you work with Mark Rolston as your superior. And we actually got to interview him for this as well. And I was wondering if you had any comments on what it was like.
It was great. Mark and I got along really well. He's been at it forever. He's a real pro. He's a lovely guy. Yeah, we had a great time working together.
So you said earlier that you're sort of a scaredy cat when it comes to horror movies. Was it difficult for you to film Saw then, being a very sort of violent horror movie?
At times, yeah. I mean, it's funny because, you know, it's so dark and violent and gory and all of those things, but the atmosphere on set is quite fun. You know, everybody's having a lot of fun and trying to keep it light. But there were moments where, you know, I'd walk onto a set. I remember in Saw 4, there's a set. Do you remember the guy who he was the rapist who gets killed or whatever? He's torn limb from limb, and they just the like special effects just did such an amazing job with the I don't know what you call them, like the doubles of dead bodies that that corpse or whatever, it looked exactly like Marty. Like, it was amazing, like right down to like every little freckle or, you know, like the tiny little details. And so the sets were really realistic. And I remember walking onto that one in particular for the first time for blocking and being like, whoa, like it was just quite horrifying, you know, like it looks so real. Even, you know, it's not just all the whatever they do in post that makes it look that good. Like, it actually looks that good in person. So sometimes you would get kind of a scare, or you'd be like walking to your trailer or something, or to the bathroom, and you'd walk past some other set that's just sitting there that nobody's on, and there's like, you know, the woman suspended from the ceiling with her ribs torn open, and you'd see that out of the corner of your eye, and you're kind of like, oh, you know, like, so it's kind of creepy in that way. And you know, it was in this big sort of dark studio kind of thing, like warehousey kind of soundstage, and yeah, but I mean, it was definitely a lot of fun to work on, and I'm good friends with Darren and his wife Laura. Now we've been friends for years, and I've worked with that crew on other things, and it was just everybody really bought it. The nice thing about the Saw movies is they kept the crews the same through each movie, so it really became like a family. You know, everybody knew each other so well, and it was, you know, there was a lot of laughs and joking around. And Darren is very silly in the scene where the puppet explodes into my face. I remember when we were shooting that, he had like this, it was like a fart machine or something that he had gotten from somewhere, and so we're shooting this scene, and it's very intense and very serious, and the camera's kind of like spinning around, and suddenly there are like these fart noises, and it was just, everyone just packed up laughing. We were dying. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You mentioned in the 4th movie, your character gets sent to the hospital because the puppet explodes and sends shards into your face.
And there's
throat.
also some poisonous powder inside of it that ends up all over my face.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think that part was as clear, but that was the thing that was supposed to have killed me, was this neurotoxin or something.
Gotcha. And in the sixth movie, you get stabbed in the abdomen. Did it sort of bug you at all that you didn't die in one of those weird, intricate traps that the movies are sort of known for? Or was that?
Oh God, no!
Like
I was so grateful. I was so grateful. Well, first of all, I thought it was nice for my character that she dies in kind of a dignified way. You know, like telling the killer that she knows who he is and sort of like fighting, and you know, even her last breath when he's like, "Tell me who else knows," and she goes, "Everyone," and then he drives the knife in harder. I thought that was quite cool. I was happy for Perez to have a cool death like that. But as an actor, I mean, those traps, like, those take days to shoot, and you're screaming, like, everybody who dies in those traps loses their voice. You're also, movie blood is basically syrup. So you're covered in sticky, awful syrup. It is very uncomfortable. No, I was very, very thankful to die the way I did.
Do you have any other sort of memorable stories from your time with the franchise?
I don't know. I mean, I definitely think of it very fondly. Costas, who played the, bad guy, is just so much fun to work with. He's always, he's so friendly with everyone. He's so great to everyone. He's hilarious. You're constantly packing up laughing around him. He's a really funny guy. So that was really great working with him both times. He's a lot of fun. I mean, nothing, I can't really think of anything in particular. It was a few years ago now, so my memory is maybe a little bit foggy, but it was great. Like, it was really exciting for me to book that job, and it ended up being a really great experience. The funny thing is that I remember Darren telling me when I first booked it, he was like, "This is going to change your life. Like, people will stop you on the street all the time. Like, these movies, you have no idea how many people see them." And for some reason, I think I look really different in real life than how I looked in those movies. I don't know if it's the way they're lit or, what it is, but I don't really look like that. I've never once, I don't doubt that so many people have seen them because I know that that's true, but I've never once been recognized for Saw. Not once. And I even went to see 4 in the theater, and nobody recognized
you.
Which is fine. I'm not saying I want people to recognize you, but I just thought that was really funny because Darren was like, "You won't be able to walk down the street," and it's not even once. And even people who have seen, I remember meeting some friends of Darren's once at some other thing, and he was like, "You were in Saw?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was Perez." And he was like, "You were Perez?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was me." He was like, "No."
So, again, I know that the movie sort of freaked you out, but was there any trap in the series, in the franchise, that really stood out in your mind as, sort of one of your favorite traps?
Oh, that is a tough one. Yeah, a lot of those. I don't know. I mean, I'm partial to the very first, the 2 guys sort of locked in the room and the guy having to saw off his own foot in the end. I mean, it was awful, but right. I just I don't know, there was something so theatrical, and when I say theatrical, I mean it was like a play, that first movie, it was kind of just these 2 guys in this one location faced with this one dilemma. There's something I like about that. I mean, as awful as it is, and as much as horror is really not my cup of tea. I'm too much of a scaredy cat. But yeah, I kind of like the simplicity of that. It's awful and simple at the same time. But I mean, those traps are amazing. It's amazing how creative they would get with them. And, I remember talking to one of the people who had kind of the plans for the next movie on his computer, and he was saying how he was traveling and, he was always really nervous that he would get stopped at the border or something like that. And they would search his stuff and find all these crazy scary things on his computer and think he was some kind of murderer or something like that. But yeah, it's a very funny business in that way.
What is your favorite like genre of films? If you don't really
Oh,
like
I'm boring. I like artsy French movies and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know. I have a pretty wide ranging. I used to like horror, but I wouldn't say the kind of horror that Saw is. Like, I used to like the kind of, like I Know What You Did Last Weekend or whatever those movies are called, where like it's kind of like jumps out at you and you scream, and it's kind of like it gives you this sort of same rush as a roller coaster would. But the Saw movies are just too scary. It's too the psychological, I don't know, and like the gore and that stuff is just too much for me. Yeah.
So are you working on anything right now that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I just finished a series that is going to be coming out on Sci-Fi called The Expanse, which I think is kind of exciting. I'm not really a sci-fi fan either, but this show is really good. Like, it's really well written and really smart. It's based on a series of books. The series is also called The Expanse, but each book, like the first one is Leviathan Wakes, and then there's Caliban's War, and so it's a series of books. It's kind of and they've been translated into 20 or something languages. Like it's sort of the Game of Thrones of sci-fi, like based on a series of books, and the books are hugely popular. So that's going to be coming out later this year. I think Sci-Fi is sort of relaunching their network, and they want this show to be part of it. They kind of want this show to be the face of the relaunch. And it's really good. Like, every time I got a new script, I would just race through it. I'm excited about that. I think it'll do really well.
All right, great. I'll keep an eye out for that because I really like it.
Yeah, like I think this would turn non-sci-fi, like, or certainly, I'm like sold on it.